Welcome back to another day, another episode, another week of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Dirty NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about Bethesda Game Studios. Lots of Bethesda Game Studios. Todd Howard from Windows Central interviewed Fallout 5, Obsidian Fallout remakes, Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, and more. Bethesda's charts its future. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about God of War recast lead Kratos after Ryan Hurst suffers a major injury on the set of Prime Video's series. And then we're also going to talk about Joe Ziegler. Bungie's Marathon loses game director Joe Ziegler in a major leadership change. If we have time, we'll also talk about some PC Gamer turns Steam games into cartridges. And we're also going to talk about a video from Destin Laguirre, about a short 8-minute video, talking about Xbox isn't the only company in trouble. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, chat? Good to see you. Let me see who is all here. Eclipse, good morning. Altern, Aftrif, Aku, Travis, Jesse Mack, Sweat Dog, what's going on? Sarge, what's going on? Wonder Rose, good morning. Charles Hawk, what's going on? Good morning. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a great weekend. I had an extended weekend. We had a vacation started on Wednesday last week. We went to the East Coast of Florida and did a beach thing. I'm not a big beach guy, but we did a beach thing. So hung out with family and friends and basically just enjoyed my time. Other than that, nothing really big happened. I didn't really check social media or a lot while I was on vacation. I see a lot of submitted stories, lots of stuff to talk about this week. Maybe new stuff will pile on top of that, but as of right now, this is what we're talking about. As you guys can tell, we do music in the morning. If you guys like the songs before the show starts, we play our music. You can download that songs from Spotify, Pandora, iHeart. You can purchase, you can download, you can stream it. It's all there for you. You know, options, unlike certain companies in the world. We also have a apparel store that we have new shirts and apparel up there for you, hats, mugs. We also have our 500th episode of GXG coming up on August 13th, and we have new merch for that, so check it out in the store below. Other than that, yeah, that's it. All right, let's go on, chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about here. I see, Altern, you said you built your computer. I saw that in Discord. Are you just making a gaming computer? Why don't you use SteamOS? The SteamOS instead of using Linux or Windows. All right, let's see. I saw the new trailer this morning for Doomsday. I have to admit, as a normie looking at the trailer, I'll be like, that looks interesting. I want to go see it. As a Marvel fan seeing it, I'm going, I got a lot of questions. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was just somebody that didn't really pay attention to Marvel and saw that trailer, you're like, that looks good. But as a Marvel fan, I'm like, something doesn't feel right. But I guess as it gets closer, we'll talk more about that. All right, let's start off this morning with Bethesda. Now, Bethesda has this post going, through it, and it's big. It's big. But then I have Windows Central, and I don't know if he talks because we don't read the stuff before we read it here for the first time, have conversations about it while I'm reading it. So I don't know, guys. Do you have this is like asking chat to see, is this better to read this, and this is going to go over the same information as this? I think so, right? I would assume so. Let's do that. Let's do that instead of the blog. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, Ron? What's going on, Michelle? Roadkill, Water Bear, Magic, good morning. Thanks for popping in, hanging out. All right, so Todd Howard interview, Fallout 5, Obsidian Fallout remakes, Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, and more. Bethesda charts its future. Now I have a question. I have a question. Why is it? Again, haven't read the article in any way, shape, or form. How is it that Bethesda has been owned by Microsoft now for what, 5 years? Is it 5 years? It was like 2021 when they got brought out, right? They were working on, that's 5 years, right? 5, maybe 6, right? They only have made Starfield, right? That's what Bethesda has made, Starfield, and obviously keeping up with ESO and keeping up with Fallout 76, right? Fallout 76 came out in 2018. We have ESO that came out in like 2011. Okay. Then we have Starfield that came out, 2 years ago? You, me, and everybody else. What's going on, Nini? We're like, where's Elder Scrolls? 2018 is when they showed Elder Scrolls 6 trailer. And we do know after the fact that they showed that because they were trying to sell them and whatnot, and they shouldn't have showed it. Todd said this in another interview. But what the hell has Bethesda been doing this entire time? Right? We've had a conversation in the past because of the Fallout series, the actual television show that came out 2 years ago, right? They've already had 2 seasons, or 3 years ago, right? 2 seasons. And it's like, what are you working on, Todd? What are you doing with these games? We always talk about like cross promotion and whatnot. And obviously I heard the information that Obsidian's working on another remake of Fallout or whatever, right? Or they're working on a standalone game, right? I guess I'll find out more as I read this. But it's like, what in the hell has Bethesda been doing this entire time? I guess we'll find out, right? Asha comes in and is like, hey, Todd, you think we could, we could do something with these IPs? He's like, sure, Asha, yeah. The plan's the plan until it's not the plan. 16 times the detail. It's all there. It's all there. So as Xbox cuts bite, Bethesda set out to reassure fans about the future of the biggest franchise. We spoke legendary Todd Howard to learn more. Now, the question here is, did Asha be like, since we want to make more exclusives, right? Ran over to Todd and said, you got to make an announcement. They're like, well, we don't have anything. He's like, all these IPs we own, tell them that we're working on them. That's what it feels like. It just feels weird. Right? Just now, Xbox Studios Bethesda offered a massive update on its plans for the big 3 properties, and we caught up with the studio director, Todd Howard, to learn more on the context about what fans can expect. It says, quote, we love making these worlds as much as we love playing them, the note reads. Today, we want to share the next for Bethesda Game Studios and what we can expect from this year's ahead. Okay, for 40 years, okay, we've built games that have also entertained 500 million players. Most of the games of these worlds that you can explore, shape, and make your own. Worlds in return together, that's what we're driving us forward. Bethesda said that it's making investments to bring the core teams closer together with a view of the building titles faster, provide the support of longer for decades to come. Here's an overview of what was announced. Okay, so on this blog post, I would assume, it says, on Fallout, Bethesda confirmed that it's working towards Fallout 5, which is now in pre-production. All right, so pre-production, right? We've had this conversation in the past before they've made any of these announcements, okay, that if they were working on, and we said this, I think when the Fallout show first aired, I said, if they're working on a Fallout game right now, it takes 3 to 5 years to make it, and that was 3 years ago. They would have 2 more years to go if they weren't already working on it, okay? So if they're starting to work on it now, right, let's give them to the beginning of the year. Let's just say 26 was the first year, right? We're halfway through the year, okay? So they started working on Fallout, started working on whatever else. We're not seeing Fallout till 2030, 2031 at the earliest, right? So Bethesda confirmed my previous reporting on Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas will get a full remake in the future, but didn't announce dates. Now, we've known about Fallout 3 remake, remastered, since the Activision Blizzard deal went through and they had to look at their books and stuff like that, and they saw a leak about the remakes and stuff. Obviously, we saw Oblivion remade. Bethesda also confirmed Obsidian is returning to Fallout with its very own spin-off game and said more info would come in the future. So this is a spin-off game and not the Fallout remaster. So is somebody else making the Fallout New Vegas remaster? I would assume so. Fallout 6 will get a huge new DLC called Raven Rock, which will serve as a prequel to Fallout 3. Okay, so obviously, I know a lot of people want to make fun of Fallout 76. Came out broke, buggy, and unfinished, but since that time frame, it's completely changed. Brings in a lot of money, right? Brings in a lot of money for them. Starfield is slated for more content with Starborn DLC on the horizon and more tools and features to boost the Creation Club content. Bethesda says that Starfield remains an important part of our future. Again, this is another one that people said didn't do very well, and yet, obviously, they're still supporting it. Elder Scrolls 6 is progressing nicely, and Todd says that the studio is where they want to be on the game development timeline, but don't expect it anytime soon. So Elder Scrolls 6, let's say they showed it 2018 as the trailer. They started working on it probably 2022, 2023, when Starfield was almost done. And then they started working on this. So we won't see Elder Scrolls 2029, 2030 maybe, right? What's taking them so long for that? I don't know. 8 years. 8 years. Elder Scrolls Online will continue to get its new seasons, and ZeniMax Online Studios will be more directly integrated into Bethesda proper to improve collaboration. Okay, Elder Scrolls 6 is Bethesda's current primary focus, and where we're planned to be loving knowing the looks and playing every day. Now, a big part of the weight revolves around the Creation Engine 3, which Bethesda has been developing specifically to boost simultaneously franchises development and improve Creation Club tooling. Okay, Todd Howard spoke to us about the Xbox cuts, huge respect for Obsidian and video game industry challenges. He says, when we got the call, and was also speaking to Todd Howard, he admitted that they a bit floored. He'd been doing this for over a decade at this point, and never the wildest dreams you can imagine it could also lead to an on-record chat with one of the gaming's most prominent. Todd Howard has also been stewarding Bethesda's franchise since 1994, but Schofield, his place of gaming as legend, has also released the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind back in 2000. The game industry looks widely different now than it did back in the day. Okay, but then Bethesda was always managed and adapt in changing times. Top of the mind for me is that I suspect most of the Xbox faithful right now is Microsoft's huge cuts to the gaming operations, which seem to have disproportionately fell into ZeniMax's lap. I asked Todd Howard of how he would also team was doing given what was going on. He said, great question. All right. Howard says, looking visibly sorrowful. It has also been doing a long time whenever you've also worked with people for some cases, many decades and many longer here. This is really personally very difficult and difficult for our teams. It says Howard referred to previous difficult times with Bethesda history during the 1990s. Okay, Bethesda struggled to make it into the big time. Just before the firm was acquired by Microsoft, has struggled out variety of multiple adjustments, mobile titles, and attempts to join the service game Gold Rush to mixed success. He says, quote, we had to change who we were and how we did things then. And then we kind of became ZeniMax and did a bunch of things. And then we had to change again in 2016, moving different studios. How are we supposed to support these franchises? And I think another change moment is where we support each other and how do we do games and for our fans. Speaking of fans, I couldn't help but mention Obsidian's return to Fallout. Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas, which also is amongst most beloved entries of the story, Fallout canon. Fans love it, and the reactive world and choices also consequences, something many feel that Fallout 4 pulled back on. I asked Todd Howard how the collaboration of Obsidian came about, and he also thinks the online mythology surrounding it is pretty rivalry. He says, I appreciate some of the fans' chatter, but behind the scenes, there's a huge amount of mutual respect between Bethesda and Obsidian. Now, there are documents and stuff like that, or videos. There's this, maybe a lot of you don't know this. There's a lot of talk on Reddit and different things that Bethesda hates Obsidian. And the reason Bethesda hates Obsidian is because Obsidian made a better Fallout game than Bethesda, right? So the headcanon, and I'm not here to tell you if it's true or false, right? I'm just telling you what's happening. The headcanon is that there's this reality show drama behind the scenes that Bethesda hates Obsidian, and Obsidian, they're jealous, and or Bethesda's jealous of Obsidian and whatnot. And you can go on the internet and you can find a bunch of stuff like that. Okay. So it says, we're also kind of wondering if we can also find a way to work together and in the right way. And then if those things come up, I think definitely we can look at the franchise all up. As you can see and note, everything is kind of happening with Fallout. The fact that we talked about this, right? We've talked about this in the past, going with when the Fallout franchise came out, the TV series I'm talking about now. I was like, how do you not have cross promotion of something going on? Now, obviously, they did put stuff inside of Fallout 76, but it's not the same, right? It would have been amazing, but I don't think they knew that Fallout TV show was going to be a big hit. I'll be honest. They were doing it because they wanted to make extra money and stuff. That's why they licensed it out, and that's what they did, why they did it. Okay? But they didn't know it was going to be a big hit, and then it became a big hit. And then there was nothing to fall back on, right? You would think, like, leading up to this, right? If you go back to Defiance was a TV show on Sci-Fi Network, and it was also a video game. Now, it didn't work out really well, but there was a cross-promotion type of stuff where, like, the most integrated I've ever seen, where what happened in the show then happened in the game, and what happened in the game then moved over to the show. And it's really hard to, like, juggle that. But if you knew you were making a TV series for Fallout, and you knew it was going towards Vegas, you would think that you would also have made the remasters and stuff before those came out. Now, things could happen, gets delayed, they cut stuff. I understand that. But I'm just baffled by all of this, that Bethesda has the Fallout series and hasn't done anything with the Fallout, and they were just gung-ho about Starfield. And Starfield did okay. It didn't do very well, okay, but it did okay. It says, you sort of say, this is the way the window or our pocket, where we could also something together, really, really made sense. And we're also super excited about the opportunity to working together. Todd remarked about the Obsidian workflow mirrors Bethesda's, and the core of the team has also been together for decades. I noted how there are also so much legendary Fallout alumni at Xbox now, with Tim Kaine at Obsidian, which he went back to, right? Brian Fargo. He's also asked if we could also see more projects emerge in the future, like Insomniac Fallout 1 remake. Example, Howard also remarked the Xbox teams are pretty in sync, and we've seen this heard idea of Fallout spinoffs. Now, this is interesting. Now that we know that Tim Kaine is working back, and now that we know that they're making the remake of New Vegas, and now we know that the Obsidian guys are making a spinoff, is Tim Kaine working at Obsidian and doing the spinoff, or is Tim Kaine working with a group of people in Obsidian that are also doing the Fallout New Vegas remake? That'll be interesting to know more down the road. Okay. Howard also remarked the team at Xbox is pretty Fallout spinoffs. He says, quote, sometimes you find your way. There's sometimes you don't. Or if you do, it later. It takes time. You mentioned it's a Fallout show. And there was also a 10-year journey as take care of these things. And the number of one job is to make sure that we serve the franchise as best we can. The future hold for Starfield, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls fans. He says, I did have a ton of time with Todd Howard, and many of the questions were simply too far afield for answers. Okay, I asked Todd Howard if Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5 would be going exclusive to Xbox, given that Xbox CEO Asha Sharma mandated to grow the Xbox hardware ecosystem. He said it was too early to comment, and I would also guess to ask the timeline of Elder Scrolls 6 launch window, but again, it sounded like the game is still too far away to put a landing strip on paper. I asked I asked what engine Obsidian's Fallout game would also be using, Unreal or Creation Engine, but he also said more would also be revealed at that later date. I would assume that they're going to be working with Unreal Engine. I'm just saying. And the reason I'm saying this, I think Obsidian will use the Unreal Engine because that's what they've been using in the past, and see what happens with the Halo, right? The Halo Combat Evolve, the new game that's just coming out next week, or this week? Is it this week? They're using the Unreal Engine for Halo. If that sells well and people like it and they see what things are going on and how fast they made a turnaround with that, then that's probably what they're going to be using. Now, I understand. I like the Creation Engine, okay? I think the Creation Engine is what makes Bethesda games. Now, I do understand the hate for Creation Engine. But from a business standpoint, if the Creation Engine takes 3 times longer to use and Unreal Engine cuts that time down and they don't need 1,000 people to work on a video game and they only need 100 people to work on a video game and they can turn that around super fast, well, you can't blame the business to go, we're going to be using the Unreal Engine instead of the Creation Engine. It says, I think ultimately today, Bethesda really wanted to ensure that the fans and Xbox cuts haven't dismantled the studio. We've also seen other Xbox studios like id Software put the statement out on topics. For example, as rumors of run rife along tenured staff, decades experiment of millions of dollars of sales, and their names get ousted. He said, with the memory of crisis going on, AI built harming Microsoft's financials, and the saturation of attention economy, there are tough times for gaming. There are more content than ever, but also more competition than ever, and it sounds though that Bethesda is pouring everything it can into making The Elder Scrolls 6 another landmark hit for the studio, but it also might still be awaiting more than a hot minute to get our hands on it. Okay. Now, if you look at this compared to like Microsoft picking up Bethesda compared to Sony picking up Bungie, Bethesda was the better buy. Okay, this is why they paid $7 billion and said to Microsoft for back in the day, to Bungie, that you're overpriced because Bungie wanted to pay $7 billion. They wanted $7 billion. They said, no, we'll pay 7.3 billion for Bethesda, many more IPs that they can use. They had the income of ESO. They had the income of Fallout Shelter. They had the income now of Fallout 76, right? So there's a lot more avenues of income already coming in. They're already making money off of those. Maybe that's why they haven't made the other standalone games, right? Makes sense, right? We talked about this in the past as well, chat, and I'll get to chat in just a second, right? Why make an Elder Scrolls 6 when you have ESO? Remember now, Elder Scrolls 6 or Elder Scrolls 5, or Skyrim, I should say, came out 12 years ago, 13 years ago, right? Sort of like Grand Theft Auto. Right? But ESO came out in 2011, and it was making money hand over fist because it was riding the coattails of Skyrim. And they're like, oh, an online multiplayer game, and it made money all these years. So why make the next Elder Scrolls when Elder Scrolls Online is still making a shit ton of money? Why make Grand Theft Auto 6 when Grand Theft Auto Online is making a shit ton of money? Right? Like, we ask these questions because you, the consumer, the customer, okay, have been playing the online games this entire time, and you're like, well, how come they haven't given it to us? How come they haven't done this yet? That's because you keep paying for the online service, right? And the landscape from when those games came out to what it is today is completely changed. Live service games and whatnot, right? So this is why, in my opinion, we haven't gotten to Elder Scrolls 6 yet, because you're still playing Elder Scrolls Online. Grand Theft Auto 6 took 13 years, 14 years. Why? Because, well, you're still playing Grand Theft Auto Online. People are still playing it because they just did an update again. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like it, check out some of our other videos. Let's get to chat. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Let me scroll back up. What's going on, Lanini? Mr. Z? Mr. Z says, for 30 years, I haven't done anything in the last 10 years. They don't have to, though. They're making money hand over fist because of the online stuff. Mr. D also says, hey, Todd, don't care if you are or where you want to be. The obviously Xbox does not care either. Exactly right. El Nini says, it just works. It just works. Altern says, Creation Engine 3 has just added a 3 at the end of it. Call it a day. Jesse Max says, Bethesda is just chasing money and trends, not forcing anyone else but themselves to more than making their own games. Here's the thing about what I don't understand. Everyone's like, well, Bethesda's lost their IPs, now they're handing them off. Last time I checked, Bethesda was owned by Microsoft, right? Microsoft has owned them now for 5, maybe 6 years. And I said this when they got bought. I said all their IPs, if they choose to make them exclusive or if they choose to put them out everywhere, it's their choice because they paid the money, right? Everyone's like, oh, well, Bethesda's losing their IP. Bethesda is Microsoft. ZeniMax and Bethesda are bought by Microsoft. They are owned by them. They can do whatever they want with the IPs and franchises. This is why it boggles my mind, because they could have taken the franchises and hand them to other people. Sure, Bethesda would be like, well, we were thinking about working on it. Tough shit, Todd. We paid $7 billion for your company, okay, and the studio you're working for, and we're going to do what we want with them. That's what should have happened instead of sitting back going, yeah, we're just working on Starfield. We're just working on Starfield. El Nini says Obsidian also hated the Creation Engine. Well, they don't have to use it, right? They don't have to use it because Microsoft tells them what they want, what they can use, not Bethesda. Go on, Kylo. Good morning. Go on, Tarnish. Tarnish says Bethesda lives in the alternate reality where they think they don't have to do any of the real work post Skyrim. Well, let's be fair. Let's be fair, Tarnish. The reason they think that way is because people keep playing Skyrim and people are still playing Elder Scrolls Online. Aku says 30. Yeah, Obsidian made a better Fallout because they had more bugs and broken things. Look, all the games that were broken buggy, they just made the better broken buggy game. Am I right? Jack says early access to Halo this week. Elena says 30. I have played the new Halo 1 remake. It does feel like Halo. Jesse Mack says Bethesda has nothing with Fallout 76 until they added a Fallout Las Vegas event for marketing and the Fallout TV show in the season 2. No, they had like a backpack and stuff like that when the other one came out. It wasn't like a crossover event or anything like that, but they did have a backpack and stuff like that. What's going on? Feels good. Says I saw a lot of micro stuttering in the Halo remake gameplay. Unreal Engine 5 usually causes this. That's what they say. That's what they say. I didn't hear that myself because I was checked out for the last 4 days, 5 days. What's going on? Just enough. Good morning. Guys, if you're just joining the chat, if you're here for the very first time, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member. We do a show Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. Keep you guys busy, entertained for the next 2 hours, 2.5 hours. What's going on, Robic? Good morning. Feels Good says, can't remember the last good game Obsidian released. I mean, Grounded was good. Grounded was good. Grounded 2 is still in working. It's in the preview program, but Grounded was good. I liked Avowed. I'm not going to say Avowed was a fantastic game, but it was a good game. The story wasn't very good, but the game was pretty good. Ray says 16 times development time. That's right, 16 times development time with 1,000 planets. Ray says Obsidian is like the fan fiction writer. The lore, the engine, the assets, the documentation, ready. And they also built it on top of something already great. You know, they had. You got to remember, Obsidian came out with a shit ton of games. They came out with Grounded, Pentiment, Grounded 2, Avowed, and there was one more. They came out like 5 games since they got purchased. Was it 4 games or 5 games? I gotta look that up. All right, so they came out with Outer Worlds. That's another one, right? So they had Outer Worlds 2. Thank you, Jax. Yeah. So Outer Worlds 2, right? Look, say what you want about the game company. They're pumping out games, man. They're pumping out games. They had Avowed. They had Grounded. They had Pillars of Eternity. They did Outer Worlds 2. Right? It's a good studio. I would say right now, as far as the production that they keep pushing stuff out, you got Insomniac Games for Sony, you got Obsidian for Microsoft, and you got Saber Interactive. Okay? These 3 studios are workhorses, man. They are pushing games out. Like, you're like, how do games take this long, but yet these guys have multiple games coming out? Talk about bang for your buck, dollar for dollar, right? All 3 of these studios, Sony that picked up Insomniac making game after game after game, right? What Microsoft paid for Obsidian, right? As much as they're producing, and then Saber Interactive obviously is a third party, but holy Christ, they're pumping out games as well. Oh, Ray said it too. Thank you, Ray. Outer Worlds 2. Ray said yes, and only Grounded made money. When you say that, though, do we know that for a fact? Like, obviously, Avowed didn't make money because it was like $100 million and it was over budget, right? And it was Game Pass. Grounded was on Game Pass and it also made money, right? Do we know the other ones didn't make money? Or are we just saying that because it's generalistic? And I'm asking, I'm not trying to argue in any way, shape, or form. Do we know for a fact that these other games didn't make money? Do we know the budget of these games? I'm sure Pentiment made money. Aku says, people don't understand engines. Creation Engine 2 is a great engine for what its goals are. Look, I don't think I'll stand by this. I don't think Bethesda should fold and use Unreal Engine for their games. I don't think all games should be made on the Unreal Engine. That's just me personally. I don't think there should be one engine to rule them all. We talked about this about 2 years ago. We talked about Unreal Engine 5, okay? And everyone started using the Unreal Engine 5. Now there's Unreal Engine 6 they announced, right? I personally like the Unity and Creation and Frostbite. I personally think there should be multiple engines out there. Not all games using the same engine. So say what you want about Creation Engine. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general, people are like, I don't like the Creation Engine. I think it's great for what the games that they're making. I think Unity for games that when they make the TCG card stuff, right? I like games like that as well. I like different engines for different games. I don't think it's a one all be all engine for all games. I think if that's what the studio wants to use, then let them use what they want to use. But if we all go down and everyone's using the same engine, it's going to be a very sad day in video games. Regardless of the digital physical, if all games use Unreal Engine, it's going to be a sad day in gaming. Outer Worlds 2 sold poorly. Do we know the budget? Let me see what the budget is. Yeah, Outer Worlds 2 reportedly had an estimated budget around $100 million, and it's on Game Pass. Bro, we it's like me banging on a drum here. You can't have $100 million games and put them on Game Pass. You can't do it. You can't do it. Right? So if it didn't sell well, it's because it's $100 million. It's a bloated game in a budget. Hence why the layoffs happened. What was the budget for Outer Worlds? Right? Outer Worlds budget. Okay, right. The first Outer Worlds game, estimated budget roughly of, drumroll please, $30 to $40 million. How? How do you have a game that came out for $30 to $40 million and then the sequel cost $100 million? Like, what are we talking about? Outer Worlds 1 release date came out in 2019. So you're telling me 2019 to 2025, right? Because Outer Worlds 2 came out in 2025. Yeah, 2025. Okay. So in 6 years, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, yeah. In 6 years, they went up $60 million. Tell me your game company is not bloated. Tell me you're just spending money to blow money. How do you make a worse game than the other game ahead of it for $60 million more? That's crazy. Let me see what Pentiment. What was the budget for Pentiment? We don't have it. Doesn't have the? It's very low budget. I would think that there's no way. Pentiment with a $130 million budget. There's no way Pentiment had a $130 million budget. There's no way. What is this saying? There's no way this is the budget. Pentiment with 100. Oh, okay. If it had a $130 million budget, it's using like graphical. Okay, I was like, there's no way it cost that much. Zero. It's showing if it did, if it had, realistic graphics and stuff like that. They don't know what Pentiment had to cost less than, I want to say less than 8 million, 5 million for a game like that. Jesse Max says Grounded 2 was a massive financial success and made its money back almost instantly, surpassing 3 million players in its first 2 weeks. Yeah, I think Grounded 1 was very successful. And Grounded 2, I don't know, but I'll go what you're saying. And obviously it's an early access, so they're building it as they go. Oculus 30, I agree. Creation Engine 2 is focused on a massive open world. Unreal Engine 5 is for fidelity, id tech, fast pace, FPS, and they aren't all built to make the same games. Right. Engines in video games are like tools in a toolbox. You can't use a screwdriver to hammer stuff. I mean, you guess you could. It's not going to work very well, right? But you don't want the one-all, be-all tool, right? You want the specific tool to make this specific thing that you're building. Sawyer said he asked for 12 people. He did Pentiment with 13 people. And this right here, I didn't play Pentiment, but I saw what it was, right? We watched it and saw gameplay and stuff. And that is what video games are, right? For the bare bone, you don't need to make these $100 million, billion-dollar video games over budget with 1,000 people. You don't. Look at Palworld right now. Palworld is not changing the landscape of how to make video games. They made a game for less than $6 million at the beginning, right? Obviously, they had more money after that, but because they've updated 4 times, it's been 2 years, right? But let's just say that's 10 million, 12 million, 20 million. Okay? What that game is doing compared to what other games are doing and priced at $20 to $30, the rest of the video game industry needs to wake up. What Expedition 33 did with the Unreal Engine and what they charged and how it changed the landscape, they need to wake up. Look at all these other games that are struggling to make $1, right? Because they're $100 million, $200 million. And yet you have games like Expedition 33. You have games like Pentiment. You have games like Pocket Pair with Palworld. You have Mecha Chameleon, right? You have Vampire Survivor. You have Blueprints. You have all of these little games. And key word there, games. And they're making tons of money. All right, we're going to move on from the Bethesda stuff here. We're going to move on to PlayStation's God of War to recast the lead Kratos after Ryan Hurst suffers injury on set of Prime Video series. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right, so this is a shocker. Prime Video's God of War will have the actor playing Kratos as a lead role in high-profile fantasy drama series is being recast. Deadline has learned the decision made after a careful consideration by studios on the show. Sony Pictures Television and Amazon MGM Studios comes after Ryan Hurst, who also has been originally cast as Kratos, was seriously injured in a set of PlayStation video game adaptation in late June. Okay, this is heartbreaking development for Hurst, who underwent a physical transformation after getting the role, putting on 40 pounds of muscle, and worked hard for months on the Vancouver set of filming a physical demanding role and getting hurt performing his duties. Okay. Hurst also tore a bicep while doing a stunt on the show. At first, reportedly, TMZ, according to sources, has since undergone surgery and now recovering. Now, this is a long process, right? So tearing a bicep is no big deal. God of War paused production immediately following the incident and remains on hiatus. Now, Hurst's projected recovery time is unclear, but its serious bicep tear requires surgery. It's typically 4 to 6 months, with the return to full strength taking up to a year. Given the physicality of the role, it will likely not have been safe for Hurst to resume filming until 2027. According to sources, while Hurst fully recovered and priority of the period required it was longer than the production shooting schedule could accommodate, leading to a difficult decision to recast the role. I'll give you my 2 cents here in a second on this, right? Prep is expected to begin in the mid-August for mid-October production start. Okay, so they also will now reshoot with a new actor who will take over the role of Kratos and a pricey and lengthy proposition given how many months the show has been filming. With the co-lead, Atreus is played by a child actor. He also would be hard to use much of the existing footage as a kid grown up too fast. I was going to bring up that as well, because whatever they shot with the kid ahead of time is going to change. So they're going to have to reshoot all that as well. So for Hearst, the recasting news comes in the face of excessive recovery, and it was also supposed to be a great week for him. Hearst is a Christopher Nolan and the Odyssey, which also opens Friday. God of War follows the father of Kratos, so we really don't need that. Okay, so let me give you my my 2 cents here with this, right? And now, some of you might be like, well, who gives a shit what you think? I worked in the film industry for 20 plus years, okay? From being in front of the camera to all the way to the behind the camera. I worked since before the turn of the century to about 2017, 2018. And then I basically stopped, right? So it's like 20, 21 years. Behind the camera, I was like 17, okay? I worked on big productions before. I've worked on TV shows, reality shows, commercials, all the stuff. This is a very hard decision. One, I know a lot of people gave shit. Me personally, I looked at this and said, he doesn't look good as Kratos, right? He just doesn't, right? Now, this photo was memed beyond belief when it came out. Now, I don't think, I did see some people talking about, oh, well, you know, they changed their mind. This is, we're not talking about like the Sonic, where they first showed Sonic and then went back and filmed, right? That's different. Production's filmed. They can just fill it in with CGI and stuff like that and fix it. This right here, this man went through a transformation, right, for 40 pounds of muscle, okay? So to tell him to be like, oh, no, they changed their mind, this is why it happened, and now he's backing down. No, this is a 4 to 6 month, you know, trying to recover from this injury. Sony had two options, in my opinion, right? They either recast like they're doing, or they wait. Now, the reason they don't want to wait is because I would assume that this was supposed to come out sometime beginning of next year, okay? And now that it's postponed to August, right, to October is when they're supposed to be done filming, they have to push it, and they have to do all these reshoots. This is a lot of money going back into the production. A lot of money going back into the production. As they said in the article, I mean, if you look at this kid, right, let's just say this is like day 1, week 1, when they started filming. This kid looks completely different. So now if you take this kid, leave him as he is, and then in episode 1 and episode 6, he looks completely different than he did in the beginning, and they didn't reshoot, it's going to look very, very strange. So now they have to bring everyone back. Time schedule. They have 4 episodes in the can right now, is what they said. Now, I don't know. They didn't say actually in the can. They just said 4 episodes have done completed of filming. Now, obviously, when they do a series like this, the shot on day 1 doesn't mean it's the first shot on the first episode. The shot on day 1 could be the end of the fucking thing. It doesn't really matter. It all depends on how long they have the actor, what they're doing, the location that they're in. Because let's say they're in this forest for 3 weeks. Okay. And within these 3 weeks of this forest that they're in, they have to film all the scenes for all the episodes. So it could be in episode 1, they're in the forest. Episode 4, they're in the forest. Episode 6, they're in the forest. And episode 8, they're in the forest. So they'll shoot all the forest stuff ahead of time. Okay. Then so on and so forth with all these other stuff that they're doing. So when they say they have 4 episodes done filming, it just means they have all the locations and stuff that they shot there, and they're done. So now you got to refilm it. Now that they've decided they're recasting, they have to go back and reshoot everything. It's going to look terrible if they do cuts. I don't know if you guys ever saw The Crow, right? When Brandon Lee died, okay, they had to cut around him. They had to cut around him and put another actor and never show his face in certain things. And obviously when the news comes out, you're like, oh, yeah, I can see what that is. Now that we know that they have to recast him and they're going to use old footage, obviously they can't show his face because it's just not going to look the same. They could do CGI and try to fix it, and that's going to take a lot of money as well. So they just have to either scrap it and do a reshoot of just his parts, meaning when they do the shoot now, instead of having a 2-shot like this, okay, all of his parts will be a wide angle, wide shot of seeing maybe Hearst there, and then all of a sudden when it cuts into the close-up, it'll be the new actor in the reshoots that they've done. So Obviously, this is a smart decision, right? If you postpone, I would actually postpone and just start shooting next year, right? Because you have the costs, you wait for it, and you put it on. But they're not going to do that. Sony's burning money left and right. What's happening with the video games? What's happening with Bungie? What's happening with the online stuff? They're burning and hemorrhaging money. So like, you know what? Let's just recast and reshoot. This is still going to cost them a ton of money, but it's going to cost them a shit ton less by recasting and doing this than if they waited, okay, and then put him in. Now the question is, who's going to fill in? Okay, who's going to fill in for Ryan Hurst? Do they do Judd? Right? Does Judd come in and do the job? I mean, he is the voice. Does he come in and do it? That would be interesting. Okay. One of you guys said Batista. Right? David Batista feels good, says David Batista should be Kratos. That's a good pick. I like that. Right? Look, it's funny how that works out. Like, obviously, he got injured. Nobody wants to, I don't want anyone to get injured. Right? This didn't look very good. Okay. Now, would it have been nice for him to come out and show people that, oh, wow. Because remember when Henry Cavill first was announced as The Witcher, people gave it shit. They're like, it looks awful. It looks terrible. But then Jesus Christ, when Cavill came in, Henry Cavill came in and played The Witcher, everyone was like, dude. And then when they replaced him in the later series, they were like, they should have kept him. Right? We could have had that kind of same scenario happen here where Ryan Hurst was being shit on before he actually played Kratos, but then he comes in and shows everybody that, oh, he was perfect for it, right? Now, casting's casting. Sometimes you nail casting, sometimes you don't. In my opinion, one of the best castings of all time was the entire cast of Harry Potter. Harry Potter casting was like primo. It was perfect, right? So sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think God of War, now that they have to recast, do you think this is going to be worse for them or better for them? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the live chat. Maybe you guys don't even care. Let me know about that as well. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Lord says, after seeing The Odyssey this weekend, I'm actually sad not to see Ryan Hurst as Kratos. He was looking jacked for sure in the movie. Yeah, I think, as an actor, right, he put 40 pounds of muscle on, meaning he was invested in this film. I don't think he backed down and be like, oh, I don't want to do this because of what the internet's saying. I don't even think he gives a shit what the internet's saying, right? I think he really wanted to do this role, and I was okay with him doing it. Right? I think he could have showed us, proved us wrong, because this one picture, this picture doesn't really sell. Right? This is not the most epic thing that you want to see when you see this picture. You're like, oh, all right, it looks okay. Just Enough says, tinfoil hat, the actor is now being paid to have a broken bicep in order to recast. No, there's no way. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. There's no way, unless what you're saying, Just Enough, is that he just sucked as Kratos, and they looked at it and went, "Yeah, we got to recast him." Ryan, your arm's broke, but the problem with that is it would come out. What's he going in hiding? Someone would speak up. Someone would say something. It would come out as fake. So I don't believe that. I believe that he wanted to do it. I believe he got injured, and I believe that Sony's in a pickle, right? And Amazon's in a pickle. They have to figure out what do they do, and they're like, do we wait the 6 to 7 months, or 4 to 6 months, or do we recast? And they got to recast. Jason says, just scrap the show altogether. Well, they're not going to do that. WB might do that. WB has done that multiple times. Ron says, breaking news. Pedro Pascal is now casted as Kratos. I can see it. He's in everything, so might as well, right? Yeah, he ripped the bicep, dude. That's, ugh. Just Max says Christopher Judd is 61 years old. That means he is now in the season 3 or 4. It'll be in his 70s. Not if they did back to back. I don't know why these TV shows and stuff are waiting so many years to do stuff. El Dente says now they hired Elliot Page as Kratos and Bella Ramsey as the boy. Roic says, what about Tom Hardy as Kratos? I'm going to say no. PS5 says God of Boar. You know what's funny? Off topic completely. I didn't see, I don't have time, but the Odyssey, right? But I watched someone's review, right? Oh, it was Neurotic's review of it. And I started laughing because he starts making fun of the characters. And this is why you guys have, you know where I come from from the past, right? Those of you who have been here. I talk about how movies need to stop casting the same people over and over for everything. There's so many actors out there, but yet they choose to keep getting the same people because that person made money in another movie, so they bring them in. So in the Odyssey, right, Neurotic, the way he was talking about it, he goes, well, Jason Bourne, right, because Matt Damon's in it, and he said then Spider-Man, because Tom Holland's in it, was teamed up with the Punisher because, what's his name? Berthal, right? Jonathan Berthal, right? He's in there. Teamed up, and then MJ's in there with Zendaya, right? And then the girl from Black Panther is also in there, right? Like you have so many different characters. Oh, you have Batman in there with Robert Pattinson. And I started laughing. Because I was just like, yeah, that's the problem. Because they're in all things, and I get it, acting is acting. But in the past, you would have time between movies to see these people, and sometimes that role, sort of like Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker and was very typecast as Luke Skywalker for many years. But then he became a voice actor, and then he became, for the Joker and many, many other shows, right? Pedro Pascal's in everything, right? So it is kind of funny that in the Odyssey of a Greek, Greek mythology type of stuff, yet you do have Tom Holland, right? Or Spider-Man, Punisher, Batman, Jason Bourne, you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy to me when you look at stuff like that. Sometimes it just breaks the immersion for you. Now, again, I'm not relating. I don't know if the movie is good or bad. I'm just giving you down the rabbit hole here with actors. Argus says, I already decided not to watch the Odyssey. Yeah, it didn't look great to me, right? And the money that's coming in for it is majority because of IMAX theaters, which, let's go down the rabbit hole for a second. Oh, where I land, I do not know. But here I fall down the rabbit's hole. All right. So as the movie comes out, now we've talked about how movies are struggling in theaters. Theaters are struggling, okay? And it's hard to bring people back in the theater. Now, The Odyssey and Christopher Nolan, he loves IMAX, okay? IMAX is a different version than a standard film and what you'll be able to watch at home. So, but IMAX also costs 50% more than a regular ticket. I mean, if you pay 10, you're paying 20. If you pay 20, you're paying 40, whatever it is, right? Or that's double, but 50% more, right? So you're paying more, right? You're paying $20, $25 for an IMAX showing, okay? And if you're watching an IMAX, you're watching the best experience of it because that's what it was filmed in, and that's where you're going to see it. Where in a standard film, you're not going to see that. It's going to be cut off and whatnot, right? So with that, it's doing very well in IMAX showings because people want to go see the IMAX film. Now, there's the fake IMAX as well. Like, we have an IMAX theater by me, but it's not really a full IMAX. We have two IMAX. We have an actual IMAX, and then we have, an AMC has the IMAX, but it's just a bigger screen, but it's not really the full IMAX experience, right? So the movie's doing very well. People like it. Okay, it's getting good buzz, but it's getting more money than it should be because it's in IMAX theaters. The actual standard, if they said if it was in the amount of people that watched it. Okay, wait, let me go to the budget thing real fast here and see if it right. They're talking about the Odyssey, and right now it's at $264 million. Okay, $264 million, which is fantastic, right? That's a big thing. But if you break it down to standard to IMAX, right, it's in 3,919 theaters, but there's not that many IMAX theaters, right? There's not that many IMAX theaters, right? Let me go to Google here. IMAX theaters in the U.S. right now, okay? So there are over 400 IMAX brand theaters operating in the United States with an estimated 1,759 theaters globally, okay? Only 25 theaters in the U.S. are equipped with the specialized film projector required to screen true IMAX 70 millimeter, okay? So obviously, there's a lot of people going to fake IMAX theaters to watch this film, and they're paying the extra money for it, and they're not actually getting the full IMAX experience, but they think they are because it says, IMAX on the box. Okay. So if you take the money that it's making and you break it down to the amount of people that are watching it, there's not that many people watching this film because they're all going to go see it in the IMAX theater. Now, from that point, maybe this is what movie theaters need to do, right? Maybe movie theaters, because we've talked about how to get people to get back into theaters. Maybe this is what they need to do, is to make more movies in IMAX and make it different than what you can see at the house, right? In your big ass screen TVs and stuff like that, when only show the IMAX version, obviously in IMAX theaters. And when they do that, then they can then bring people to see the best version of it in theaters. And then when you watch it on a streaming service, you're not going to see the best IMAX version of it. You're going to see a version of it, sort of like a director's cut or stuff like that, which we've talked about in the past. I don't know, right? So they're actually making a crap ton of money. Obviously, he's made $264 million. Now this movie needs to make $800 million to make a profit, and I think it will. Does it break over $1 billion? I'm not sure. We'll see what happens in the second week, because as more movies come out, right? I think Spider-Man's in IMAX theaters when it comes out as well. That pushes out that movie out of IMAX theaters, and then it goes into standard. And we'll see what happens if it makes enough money. Now, I think it has another week before, because Spider-Man comes out the 31st, right? So it has another week in IMAX theaters this weekend, or this week and this weekend. So we'll see what happens with the Odyssey, but it looks like it's going pretty well for them in the opening weekend. Let me see here. Aku says Hamill's voice actor acted Joker and now has become an IRL Joker mentally. Yeah, there's stuff with him, problems with him. Eclipse says I heard the audio splitting is horrible unless you're watching it in the IMAX. Interesting. Sarge says AMC numbers came out today. Most profitable quarter in 50 years. Well, that must be good for the stock, huh? Most profitable quarter in 50 years. Amazing. Feels Good says, I just can't take Matt Damon seriously in these kind of movies. Roic says Mortal Kombat 2 is coming to streaming HBO Max this Friday. I heard it was terrible. What did that movie make? Mortal Kombat 2 in theaters. Oof. Jesus. It lost a shit ton of money is what it did. All right? It lost a shit ton of money is what it did. Mortal Kombat made $129 million in theaters. Whew. That's not good. Let's go on, Mr. Luke. Jason says the Avengers Doomsday trailer looks meh. I said in the very beginning, Jason, this is what I said. Ready? I don't know if you were here when I said it in the beginning, but I'll say it again. I watched the trailer, and as a normie, if I watch that trailer, I'd be like, it looks good. I'm interested. But as a Marvel fan watching that trailer, I'm like, I got so many questions. I have so many questions, and it was kind of, right? A normie looks at that and goes, this looks good. Anyone that's watched any of the Marvel films up until this point and keeps up with it, they'd be like, why is Thor, what is that? We have so many questions. So many questions. Altern says, is Zendaya and Pedro Pascal in the Odyssey? If not, well, one of them is. Zendaya is. Zendaya is, but not Pedro Pascal. Ray says, the rule of cool doesn't care about lore. Like, why would Thor be scared of Doom when he wasn't that scared of Thanos? Some of the shots look great. Yeah. Some of the shots look great. All right. Let's go from God of War to this is just more good news. More good news for Bungie. Okay, let's go more good news for Bungie. I'm sure Marathon is fine. Guys. You know, losing their director right after the game comes out. I'm sure he's going to move on, and I'm sure he's sad at leaving. Shows Ziggler's like, peace out. I'm out of here. I'm out of this sinking ship. Okay. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as low as $5. So Bungie's Marathon loses game director Joe Ziegler in a major leadership change. I'm sure. Oh, wait, let's go check it out. Hold on. Let's go see what Marathon's been up to. Yeah, I can see why Joe Ziegler's leaving. Right? You're in your, this is season 2. Season 2, and then it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Okay, so let's read on, shall we? So Bungie Marathon loses game director Joe Ziegler as Del Chaff the third takes charge. Is that how you say his name? Chaffee? Del Chaffee? Chaffee? Calfee? I'm terrible at names like this. Butchered it. Marathon has been live since March 5th, 2026, and Bungie's already changing the person responsible for steering its post-launch future. Now, Joe Ziegler, the game director who became the public face of Bungie's Extraction shooter, says July 17th, today, is his final day at the studio. Okay? I'm sure everything's fine. This is the second director, right? This is the second director. The timing landings in the middle of Marathon's second season. Season 2 began on June 2nd with the game's first seasonal reset, while the mid-season update scheduled for July 21st will add experimental Vault Breaker PvE mode. Ziegler had also outlined plans covering progression, duo matchmaking changes, and content running into 2027. The person explaining the roadmap is now leaving before several parts to arrive. It's always good, right? It's always good for the guy who's creating the game going, this is what we're doing. Oh, and by the way, I'm leaving, but you're in good hands, and then leaves. We've all been a part of something like this before. If it was a new teacher, someone in a boss at your company, whatever. You're just like, yeah, this doesn't seem too well. So Bungie's Marathon changes game directors as Joe Ziegler leaves. Now, Ziegler announced earlier today on X that it was his final day at Bungie. Dale Chaffee III is taking over from Marathon's game director and will lead the project alongside creative director Julian Nardin. Okay, according to Ziegler, both of the gentlemen were already working in major leadership roles in the team before the handoff. Here's the full statement by Ziegler. He says, quote, "Hey, everyone. I got a bit of an announcement to make today. Friday, 7/17, okay, will be my last day at Bungie, and passing the torch to game director of very capable and amazing hands of Dale Chaffee, who also guided the game forward alongside creative director Julian Nardin." Okay, he says both of them have been operating in a strong leadership capacity for the team and are ready to guide Marathon into the next chapter with the even better and brighter future. I'm proud of them, and I'm excited to see that the helm of the future is a crazy little world, and it created all together. As for me, I'm heading to something new, somewhere else, and I will update you on where and what soon. What is he not working? Okay. Before I continue reading, I'm just asking questions here. Is he leaving Bungie, or is he just leaving Marathon? It sounds like he's leaving Marathon, but staying within the company and doing something else, right? That's what it seems like. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll continue reading. Because I just want to say a deeply heartfelt thank you for all of you supporting me and Marathon in a widely mission to bring the dark, terrifying space survival frontier to your screen. The mission will continue the new, surprising ways to stay tuned for what the team is in store for you. It's been a pleasure seeing you all the stories you've also created in clever ways. You found ways to murder robots and one another. Hopefully, as I move on to new things, you'll join me for those adventures as well. Much love for Marathon community and also the friends and colleagues at Bungie. Maybe across paths again. Keep it weird. Keep it real. Now, he said it twice in this thing, right? That he's leaving, right? So he says, hopefully, as I move on to new things, you'll join me for those adventures as well. Much love in the Marathon community and all the friends and colleagues at Bungie. So he's leaving Bungie, right? He's leaving Bungie, but is he leaving Sony? Or is he like completely gone? It is kind of strange, right? I think he's leaving, but not sure, right? Ziegler didn't name his next employer or project. He said that moving somewhere else new and plans to share more information later. This message was warm towards Bungie and Marathon team, but the departure leaves a direct concern over how much of the existing plan will carry forward under a new leadership. Now, Chaffee's promotion points towards continuing rather than another reset. Bungie current Marathon credits list him as the assistant game director, and Nardin is listed as creative director, so neither are being dropped into the project cold. It's also hard not to talk about the massive round of layoffs that just hit Bungie last month, affecting the majority of the Destiny and Marathon staffers as well. So does Joe Ziegler exit make you less confident in Marathon next season, or does the internal promotion ease your concern? I don't think that's a concern at all. I think the problem here is that Joe Ziegler, was it David Barrett was the original director of Marathon, and we know Marathon was in a different state then. He came in, Joe Ziegler, and completely changed what Marathon was, maybe leaned more towards the extraction type of stuff, right? And now he's leaving because obviously, if you look at the extraction, it's not doing very well, okay? Again, this is just a snapshot of what Steam is. We don't know the actual thing, but we do know this was 80%, 70% of the player base that was playing on PC. Now, other things have come and gone, other games and stuff, but this has been a downward trend, drastic downward trend here for Marathon. Now, are you guys, those of you, right? It's extracting, right? Those of you that like playing this game, are you, again, because I'm not playing it, I'm not supporting Bungie in any way, shape, or form, okay? Are you excited that Joe Ziegler is gone? Because maybe you thought Joe Ziegler is what made the game turn to a version that you didn't like, okay? Now, because Joe Ziegler left, and they are putting the PvE mode in here, they are going a full PvE mode. We talked about this a little bit last week or 2 weeks ago, that if Marathon changes over to that PvE aspect of it, and they try to make Marathon into Destiny, I think that's a terrible idea because you're just going to piss off the people that were pissed off that you closed Destiny down, basically, right? So what happens now with Marathon? Now that you're game director, second game director since this game has been told, like officially announced to when it released now, 2 game directors have been axed from this. Right? You have 2 more people coming in, taking control of it. Is this going to turn the ship around? We watched the video last week talking about, it looks grim for them. Obviously, I said it's going to last a year. It's going to last a year. That's what I say. Right? Especially if I feel more confident than now because they closed down basically Destiny and they're not supporting that anymore. So this means they have to rely on this. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to close this down and have nothing going on from that studio? That seems retarded, in my opinion. I don't think Sony is going to do that. I think Sony's going to keep this alive as long as they can until the next live service thing comes out, which is at this point is Fair Games and the Gatherings one, right? Which both of them look absolutely horrendous. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think about Marathon? Now that Joe Ziegler is stepping down, do you think this is going to be even worse for this? Or can Marathon turn it around? And turning it around just means they have to get back up to the best of all time, which is 88,000. I don't think that's going to happen. Because if it does, that means Marathon is not what Marathon was when it launched. Again, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Did he get the can or he quit? It seems like he left. He didn't get fired. Nothing says he got fired. It's like he's leaving, meaning he got offered another job and he took it. Right? The wording that he said, let's bring it back up here. Right? He says, hopefully, as we move on to do things, you'll join me for those adventures as well. Much love to the Marathon community, meaning he's already got something lined up before he left, which makes you wonder if his heart was in it from the beginning. But I'm reading into stuff, Alente says it sounds like he's going into an Xbox game studio. Altered says he's doing Marathon 2. Waterbear says the only reason the game lasted this long is because the Bungie title is backed by Sony. Aku says whoever's confident in Marathon, that would have been as delusional as calling Mind's Eye Game of the Year. Just Enough says not excited or sad, but turn it into PvE is not what the game needs. It might be what the company needs. Unfortunately, I don't think, even if it is what the company needs, it's not going to do anything for it. It's actually going to make Marathon worse. Because that means they just shit on all the people that like the PvP. Again. Again. Altern says, since he left, can you say he did an extraction from the team? Did he took the game too seriously? Maybe. Rogue says it will also be worse at this point. Just had too many cooks in the kitchen. Jesse Mack says more better working on Marathon, and plus he left real fast. I mean, he was with the company for 2 years. Well, with Marathon for 2 years. Just Enough says, well, if they are going hard PvE, makes sense for him to leave. PvP VE was the vision. I want to know, I remember something about David Barrett making it something different, and then he came in and then changed what it was. Right? Mo says, how many people are playing Concord right now? What's going on, Mo? All right, real quick. I'm just putting this up here, right? Because I've talked about this in the past, like years ago. And now someone has done it. Now, it's not official. It's just somebody on his own accord doing this. Okay? But PC Gamer turned Steam games into a cartridge With Ingenious 2.5-inch SSD system, games are sorted on 128 gigabyte drives alongside a script to auto start the title once plugged in. Right? So this gentleman, has basically turned my idea based off of what Sony's patent was. Okay, I said that games will come out on SSDs with the cover just like this, and you will plug this in just like old cartridges, is what I said. And here we are, right? So a PC Gamer has demonstrated a handy Steam game cartridge system. Over on PCMR, okay, introduced, Jibril Sama introduced a system with blends the old school console convenience of cartridges with Steam's awesome, agreeably flexible games library. Ingeniously, it upcycles the bundle of old SAT SSDs into Steam-ready game cartridges using a disk mount detected, an exclusive script on software side. Okay, the already tasty cake provided that a colorful, enhanced custom label Steam game cartridges. Nice. Okay, like look at this. Right, you take the thing, you grab the cartridge you want to play, and you plug it in, and there it is. It just boots it up, and now Armor Core Fire of Rubicon is ready to go. Like, look at this. Right? Amazing. Right? Got a couple of views of 2.5 SSDs for cheap, so I decided to make a game cartridge system. Casually informs the PSMR masses of a post embedded above. Games are actually on those SSDs with scripts to auto native systems to games page. Auto starting the game right away is also possible. Further comments in the OP explain that the drives bought for the project were 128 gigabyte in capacity and a piece $8. That's not bad for a current RAM, and keeps these files off of the built-in primary storage. As many readers will know, PC game libraries can easily grow a hog of... I'll tell you what. If someone started a business, okay, where they took the SSDs, sold them to people, like, so you're like, hey, I want to buy the copy of the game. He buys it for you, right? He downloads it on this SSD and then sends it to you, sort of like a limited run games, where now you have the physical hard drive with that game on there. I think that's a market right there for people. I think people would buy this. Now, obviously, this looks like a 3D printed type of thing or whatever, but I'm telling you, man, this is nice. Now, obviously, this is going to be massive people buying this. No, right? He just did it for himself, but this is a business opportunity right here for someone to do this, right? So we'll see what happens. I just thought it was cool because we talked about this like 2-3 years ago, maybe even longer, about Sony's patent about these SSDs. I was like, these look like cartridges that you would plug into your system, right? So they would sell you a SSD with that game on it. So if let's say Call of Duty, next Call of Duty comes out, you would buy the Call of Duty SSD, and it would be already embedded on the thing, and you would have more storage to put other games on there as well. This is what I thought they would go down the path. Maybe that's still a thing. Maybe this person that took my idea 4 years ago is now doing it himself, okay, and become something. And these are people that could make something, a business idea, a niche business, I would say, like a limited run game type of stuff. What do you guys think? Is this something that you'd be interested in? If you still like that physical type of form, but now you can do it with this. I think it's pretty cool. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Just Enough says, I saw this. It was cool, but ultimately a gimmick. It's a gimmick for people. It's not a massive market, right? You're not going to have this like being sold in stores and stuff like that. Now, if Sony did it, obviously, what we talked about 3 years ago, they would try to bank it on you're buying a hard drive and the game comes with the hard drive. Eclipse says, yeah, there's a guy on YouTube that already does that. He makes his own boot disk for Steam. It's pretty cool. Altern says, sadly, the new SSD prices, this is almost impossible. Argus says the PvE only mode is the season is only 2 weeks long. Apparently, The next season, they're adding something even permanent. Some people don't even think that the game will make it through season 3. It'll last through the holidays. It wouldn't shock me if it doesn't, but I think it lasts at least to the end of the year. Rod says, Marathon will be fine. Bungie knows what they're doing. Of course they do. Of course they do. Going back to retro, make them look like VHS tapes. You take the drive and you put it in. That'd be funny if it makes it look like a tape. Marathon is a play test. Yeah, you paid $40 for it. All right. You didn't know I was going to do this topic? Well, neither did I. I choose what I want to do as I go. All right, the next thing we're going to watch is Destin Legary's video talk about Xbox isn't the only company in trouble. Now, I watched the first minute and a half of this, and I said, you know what? This is where I've been the entire time. People always wanted to come in, right? And I said, I'm not a Sony guy. I'm not a Nintendo guy. I'm not an Xbox guy. I'm just a fucking gaming channel. Okay? Now, he talks about the news here, and it's nice to see Destin. We watched Destin's video a couple weeks ago where he's, did the villain arc now, right? And this is I think maybe the continuation of it. I don't know. So let's watch this and find out here.
Stop comparing Xbox to PlayStation. This is an argument I've heard now a few times since Xbox has announced that they would be laying off 3,200 employees, 1,600 of which were revealed this week, with another 1,600 to roll out over the next calendar year. It represents a reduction of 20% of its staff on the Xbox side, and zooming out, a total of 2.1% of all of Microsoft will be impacted by Microsoft-based layoffs. It's bad. And the reason being given for this is because Xbox is operating at a 3% margin.
Now, remember when I tell you that the game industry, okay, it's not a Nintendo versus Sony versus Xbox. It's the gaming industry as a whole, okay? They're all in it together, and they all have issues.
Something that is very bad if they don't correct it. To compare, most banks offer a 4% interest rate if you open a premium savings account. The S&P 500 offers an average of a 9% to 11% return. That's right. Microsoft would have made more money by closing Xbox, firing everyone, and leaving that money in the bank.
Hey, think about that for a second. They would make more money if they just shut everyone down and put the money in the bank for interest.
I, for one, don't want to see that happen. So why the comparison to PlayStation? If the leader in this space has had heavy reduction...
Okay. Sony's laying off about 900 PlayStation employees. PlayStation CEO says it wants to revitalize the market with live service games amidst Bungie's layoffs. Sony Game Network Services Division, essentially a PlayStation, had 12,100 employees as of March 31st, 2025, down to 12,000 from 12,700 a year ago. This is the first decline in division official headcount since 2020. Okay. PlayStation announces layoffs at Bungie. Right.
In force since 2021. Why is it a surprise that the last place guy had a heavy reduction in force since 2021?
Now, we've talked about this in the past, right? Xbox is in third place, right? So they have to do something to change. Otherwise, they'll just stay in third place, right? You have to have competition. If you have no competition, then there's no reason to do anything. You just kind of stay where you are, right? So Xbox has tried to change their ways, and they failed by trying to get into the market with Game Pass, right? They try to do other things by going multi-plat and whatnot, even though they've always been multi-plat meaning PC and their console, okay, which is well over a decade, almost 2 decades. Okay.
If we look in a vacuum, we don't see the bigger picture. And while the hate boner for Xbox and headlines are running hot right now, I thought it would be kind of nice to see what's happening in the whole industry instead of just falling in line and saying,
as he said, this is right here, what he said, it hit me going, that's exactly what my channel is. We cover the whole industry, right? We always cover the whole industry, right? Yeah. Obviously, it leans one side or more based on what the news is, but we've always covered everything entire through the industry. We're not a YouTube. I'm sorry. We're not a Nintendo channel. We're not a Sony channel. We're not an Xbox channel. Okay, and I said it like 2 years ago, right? We're a fucking gaming channel, right? And we've always covered this stuff. It's nice to hear other people starting to cover everything in the gaming industry.
Microsoft bad, close Xbox, Xbox bad. So what's been happening over at the industry darling PlayStation? All I ever hear about is their success and how great they're doing. Tons of console sales.
PS5 just broke a major sales record.
Profits on their console sales, profits on their games and services. Wow, what great news.
Can I just say, I've said this a couple weeks ago when we watched his other stuff. I don't know what broke him, and I don't mean this in a bad way. Like, he literally has woken up, and it's nice to see that Destin is now aware of everything. Maybe he was before and was in denial. I don't know. But I do like the way you can hear the sarcasm in his voice, right?
Oh, wait. Bungie has on their games and services. Wow, what great news. Oh, wait. Bungie has been all but gutted with almost every senior staff person I know of, including the founder Jason Jones leaving the company. Wow, that's not good, is it? It's almost like that pitch Bungie gave Sony saying they double their revenue didn't pan out so hot. Not too many articles about this one being a bad move for PlayStation. Weird how that works. They gutted a prolific studio, maybe my favorite studio, because they made Halo and Destiny, two of my favorite franchises of all time, and yet that press cycle has ended and we're back at Xbox bad.
Right. I'm going to rewind that for just a second.
Maybe my favorite studio because they made Halo and Destiny, two of my favorite franchises of all time, and yet that press cycle has ended and we're back at Xbox bad again, it would seem. Now I know I have a soft spot for Bungie, so that one stings. And to be fair, PlayStation has only closed Bluepoint, Dark Outlaw, Firewalk, Neon Koi, London Pixel, Opus, Japan Studio, and Manchester. But
was it 7, 8? 8 studios? But Xbox is bad, right? They're all bad. They all happen. Me and Sarge, we didn't do a show last week, but the week before he went live, I looked at a bunch of studios closing every year. We did a 5-year interval, and every year it was 50 to 60 studios closing every year on average. Nothing's changed. Over a 5-year cycle, 50 to 60 studios close every year.
But hey, PlayStation likes to foster relationships before buying, am I right? They're the good guys. Good guys who just announced they're killing Physical, deleted 500 movies from paying customers' accounts. Also,
these are the good guys. These are the good guys. Yeah.
Raised prices on their console and services several times. Have a fluctuating marketplace where who knows what your games are going to cost.
And the reason I'm gonna rewind this for a second. The reason this is happening,
they're killing Physical,
okay, is because they are the leaders in the industry, and they can do what they want because there really is no competition. Now, obviously, this is the way people will spin it. They'll be like, well, it's Xbox's fault for not competing. It's like, well, when they try to compete, you guys give them shit. Right? So do you want them to compete or not compete? Because when you get no competition, this is what you get. You get people that decide for you.
Deleted 500 movies from paying customers' accounts. Also raised prices on their console and services several times. Have a fluctuating marketplace where who knows what your games are going to cost on any given day. Previously laid off 900 people across some of their most successful studios like Insomniac and Naughty Dog, and are tied up with 1 or 2 anti-consumer lawsuits. See, Xbox isn't special when it comes to scandals.
Right, they're all bad.
Why in the hell should we not be looking at what's happening to the wider industry is my point. This isn't a deflection. This isn't a PlayStation bad, Xbox good thing. This is it's all on fire. Please look at the fire and
Yes.
Stop looking at just one fire plea to everyone covering the games industry we all care.
AAA gaming industry is fucked. It is. We've been talking about it for years. Okay? We've talked about it for years. This is when I talked to and said, do not pre-order. Do not buy day one. Do not give them full price for a half-ass game. Right?
About. Quantic Dream just had layoffs. EA is about to sell to Saudi Arabia, had layoffs, and probably will have more layoffs. Ubisoft just had layoffs at Halifax, Winnipeg, San Francisco, Belgrade, and Barcelona. IOI just had layoffs. Iron Galaxy had layoffs. Eidos Montreal layoffs. Epic Games layoffs. Red Storm layoffs. Crystal Dynamics layoffs. Warner Brothers layoffs. Riot Games. All layoffs all this year.
And I want to make it clear. The reason these layoffs are happening, congratulations, it's because of us. The customers that are not buying the games they're creating, right? Now you look at this and say, well, this is awful. I'm not celebrating anyone's dismay of losing their job. But we, the customer, not the consumer, okay? The customer decides if we're going to buy something or not, okay? Made a song about it. Customer or consumer, which one are you? Are you a customer or are you a consumer? A consumer just buys everything up, right? Just blindly buys everything because it's the best thing in the world, right? And you protect it and you become a trash knight because you're a consumer. A customer looks into what companies are making. Does it look good? Does it work correctly? Is it worth my full price? Is it worth a sale? Right? That's the difference between a customer and a consumer. Customers build up companies. Consumers give them money up front and then bankrupt them because, well, they just didn't continue paying that money. Minimal viable product. Customers want full product. Consumers want minimal viable product.
While both Xbox and PlayStation have had negative coverage in 2026, Xbox has generated roughly 3 times as many negative news stories as PlayStation because they had
3-1. Is that what he just said?
Year. While both Xbox and PlayStation have had negative coverage in 2026, Xbox has generated roughly 3 times as many negative news.
3-1. So there's an Xbox tax. Not really, just people click on what they want. See, everybody wants Xbox to fail, or they want either they're really invested in Xbox or they want them to fail. One of the two. But they're interested in what Xbox is doing.
Stories as PlayStation because they had layoffs, and you shouldn't be happy when a new Fallout game is announced because Xbox bad. What exactly is the alternative? Should Microsoft and Xbox really be greenlighting negative $40 million bets until they collapse? I don't think so. Should Xbox or even Sony have let the studios they bought collapse instead of buying them? I don't think so. And even this faux narrative about how Activision Blizzard shouldn't have happened because then we'd be in a gaming utopia where there's no layoffs and everyone is happy, it's just complete BS. The stories coming out of Activision at the time were that Bobby Kotick wasn't exactly running a tight ship, and sure, you could argue
it's amazing. We give shit to Bobby Kotick, but man, that man did run a tight ship. Besides the Cosby crawls that were happening at the company.
That the drama was drummed up by the unions or state of California to be presented as the good guys saviors, but I think there's some truth to the fact that a company having Bill Cosby hotel parties may not be on the best path.
Right.
Oh, and Bobby fired people all of the time.
All the time.
So what do you think Bobby would have done when Call of Duty lost $300 million?
People would have been fired. People would have been fired. Again, there's closures every year. Every single year. Multiple 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50 studios average per year get closed.
Or Bungie had missed their projections by about half. Oh, I forgot. Activision owned Bungie, and then Bungie briefly went independent before being bought by good guy Sony. How'd that pan out?
Imagine working for Activision, under Activision, and thriving, and then leaving Activision, and then falling to your death, and then falling on the sword of Sony. The good guys.
For them. There was no play other than what happened in all of these scenarios, in my opinion. Activision Blizzard doesn't get acquired, tons of layoffs. They'd even warned there'd be layoffs if it fell apart, so they needed unanimous consent for the purchase, and they got it. Call of Duty bombs, layoffs. Bungie doesn't get bought by Sony, insolvency. And while I mostly covered off on PlayStation and Xbox, none of this bodes particularly well for the industry. Look at all the daily layoffs/studio closure announcements outside of these two. It doesn't stop, and it's not because there's a bad guy out there. It's just bad.
Well, it's the industry, man. That's it. It's the industry. People, imagine if an article was written every single day on how many YouTube channels stop, like they just stopped. They'd be like, oh, well, 1,000 YouTube channels just quit today. Oh my God, 1,000 YouTube channels? That's terrible. What are those 1,000 people going to do? Right? Like, it's ridiculous. Imagine anything. Wherever you work right now, every day you're like, oh, another 10 people just lost their job today. Right? It was projected. This happens in every business across every industry. It's not just video games. Video game companies are very competitive. It's very competitive to make a video game and then have people buy that video game, right? It's not a kumbaya little area. Yes, developers know other developers, but at the end of the day, they're all trying to make money. Well, if you want to make money, then you have to make something that's appealing to the people, customers that want to buy your product.
There are too many games and not enough players to fall in love with all of them.
That's it.
It's a bell curve. The second someone brings up anyone else besides Xbox going for the same thing, it's you're deflecting. No, I just don't have tunnel vision. I've made more negative videos about Xbox layoffs than any other layoff news this year, as Xbox is what people usually tune in over here on Destin's Corner of the Internet for. It's all bad. It's not unique to one brand. The third place you've been begging to see die and repeatedly dogging on.
I don't know why anyone wants Xbox to die. I swear to God, if Xbox is gone and no one comes in to fill that spot, I would rather have all digital games than just one company making stuff.
Surprised they're having a hard time.
And I don't want all digital games, by the way.
Your solution is that they should just keep losing millions? Cool. And what do you think happens then? Everyone just gets to keep their job and things magically get better? It's not better anywhere else, so why the hell?
What if Sony dies? It's the same thing. You don't want any of the companies to die. You want the companies to respect the customers. There's no protection for customers. And because there's no protection for customers, you have to fight in other ways, right? And because it takes a long time to get the protection, okay, then you have to start picking the fights that you can. And since we can buy physical and we can buy digital, you have a choice, right? If Sony takes that from us, then you have no choice, right? Then, you know what? Here's a great example. I don't want any of the companies to go under. But I'm also not delusional saying, well, they also have to lose their jobs because all these studios can't make a hit game for the budgets that they're making, right? Everyone's okay with digital happening. They're like, oh yeah, it's all digital. I don't care about physical. What happens when consoles, and I've talked about this for many, many years, what happens when consoles are no longer consoles? There's no more physical console. What are you going to do then? It's going to be cloud, all the time. Digital games, and there's no reason to actually to own a console anymore. So you just buy the games or stream the games on cloud through your digital box. You own nothing physical anymore. What's the difference? It's okay. It's a digital. I've only been playing digital anyway. I don't want that. This is why I've been talking about it for years, right? You got to say something. You got to show them.
Would it be better in that scenario? And what do you think happens then? Everyone just gets to keep their job and things magically get better? It's not better anywhere else, so why the hell would it be better in that scenario? I don't like the headlines of layoffs, but at the very least, I've been given a better understanding of why they're happening. A 3% margin, tariffs, AI component costs, less disposable income. That all plays a part. Xbox falling someday, that would all...
That is true, Aku, right? Aku says if Sony dies, it will impact the industry less because Microsoft has other people they're competing with. If Xbox dies, then you will get fucked by Sony. Right. Because Xbox sells their games on multiple places. You can buy it on PC, you can buy it on mobile, Sony is only selling it on Sony. That's it.
Also be very bad. It would be very bad if Sony went away too, or Nintendo. All of these companies, they're big ecosystems that keep thousands of employees working and gamers playing. And while it's clear they're not running a super profitable ship, at least on the Xbox side, I do hold on to hope that they can figure it out. but greenlighting failures is not a path to success for Xbox or for anyone. That's my 2 cents. Look, human beings are not people who hold one emotion at any given moment. I can look at the industry and think, man, that sucks. Everything's on fire. And I can also look at id Software saying they're going through a rough time and it's going to be okay, or Bethesda saying the same thing and think, hey, maybe they pull this thing off after all. It's not going to be pretty. I think anyone paying attention knew we were headed towards this across the industry. Those purchases at Xbox, PlayStation, and
that'd be me. That'd be Sarge. That'd be most of you, right? We saw this from a mile away.
Racer and Tencent weren't because everyone was doing hunky-dory. You don't sell your company because you're doing so great. It's because, as someone once told me, the industry was gathering wood, and now we're in a winter. I don't expect it to end anytime soon. Well, that's all from me for this episode of Everything is Awful. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know my content.
I think it's great that Destin has finally woken up. We talked about that, like I said, a couple weeks ago. I think someone said it in chat, but him going independent was the best thing for him. Best thing for him. Links in the description down below. Make sure you guys go check out his stuff. Alter says, I like Destin more. Yeah. It's like he's woken up from this coma of stuff. And obviously, if we ever got to speak to him, he'll be like, no, I wasn't like that before. But you could see it, right? You could 100% see it when he was working with IGN. When people would say stuff to him, he didn't see it, right? Because I don't know if he was drinking the Kool-Aid or didn't want to see it. But now that he's been independent, he's been independent for over a year now, right? He finally sees it. Argus says, Apple has become shit on the consumer side, even with my girlfriend, who's an Apple diehard, and my brother-in-law, who also always had Apple phones, are both considering switching to Samsung. Unfortunately, when Steve Jobs died, I've talked about this in the past. I worked for retail Apple years ago, early 2000s. It was like a part-time job of mine, and we would bend backwards for people that had problems with their computers and iPods at the time. That was when the Shuffle was out, the iPod Photo was out. We're talking like early 2000s. We would bend over backwards for people. People would bring their old computers in, and we would fix them and stuff. When Steve Jobs died, the company and what's his name? What's the guy's Cook, right? When Cook took over, the company went to shit. I bought a computer from Apple, and the logic board inside broke within like a year and a half, and they did absolutely nothing for me. I went back and forth with them for 7 months, and then when they finally admitted there was a problem because there was multiple people, calling about the same problem, they said they would only give me like $300. And I've never gone back to a computer, and I used to be all Apple for computers back in the day, right? I still use the phone because the phone. Unfortunately, we're so interconnected with our parents, and our parents are in that age bracket where they don't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to technology, right? That they need help. So it's like you got to get the phone so it all works together. And at the time, we had Apple phones, and then my parents had Apple phones, and to switch them over now would be like bashing your head against the wall trying to teach them a new thing. And I don't know if anyone else is in that kind of situation with your parents, just don't understand technology. They use it, but they don't really understand it, right? So you have to stay with a certain company or product because it's just easier for them, just easier for everybody at that point, right? Argus says gaming is the only product source that saves Sony.
At Ginger Prime Gaming celebrates 29 months of membership. Oh, I'm for sure there with my parents.
Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you, Ginger Prime. Argus says, gaming is the only product source that also saved Sony from going bankrupt and closing down the whole all sectors years ago. The other entertainment and products are irrelevant and don't have the PS. Yeah, the problem with gaming is the only industry. We talked about this in the past, right? Gaming is the only industry about the physical media, right? Again, we had arguments or discussions with people in chat that they're like, well, I don't care about physical. Okay, great. But we need physical. If you don't have physical, then it just completely collapses the entire economy of gaming, right? Everyone's like, well, people are not buying DVDs. They are. There's stores that people buy DVDs and CDs and records and stuff, right? It's not the majority, okay? But there's still people that actually buy it. Right? There's still people that actually buy these things, and all we want is choice. We want choice, because without choice, a company can just do what they want. Now, if Microsoft was doing the exact same thing as Sony, the difference between Microsoft, or Xbox, I should say, than Sony or PlayStation is that Xbox is still on PC. You could choose to buy your games through the Microsoft Store. You can choose to buy it on the Xbox Store, right? You can play it on the PC. You can buy it and play it on the Xbox. You can no longer do that when Sony goes all digital and they're only on the Sony PlayStation. I totally get what they're doing. It's understandable what they're doing, but it's the wrong choice. And the only, right? Yeah, Steam, etc. Right? You have choices, right? And a lot of people that are on console don't see this. They're like, oh well, Steam has Steam is there, but there's multiple places that you can buy stuff on the PC. There's not multiple places that you can buy on Sony. Sony is the only place that you can buy your thing. Right? Nintendo is the only place you can buy your thing. Right now, you can still buy it in Target and Best Buy and stuff like that. But if they ever went full digital, then you would only buy it on Nintendo. You would only buy it on Sony. Well, that doesn't happen with Xbox, right? Xbox says you could buy it on Xbox and you could also buy it on PC. And because you're on PC, there's multiple choices for you to purchase, right? Blindly, people are like, no, it's the same. It's not the same. All right, we got 15 minutes. Let's do this story. I saw this one. This one's not in the description down below. Let me add this to the description down below since we're going to cover it. All the stories we cover are in the description down below. So if you guys want to go read the article yourself or watch the video, all the links, like I said, are in the description. All right, so this is some Xbox Studios lead reportedly detest Game Pass. So why did Xbox push ahead with it? I felt like a race to zero. Now, this would be interesting to read this, right? Windows Central, Jez Gordon has reported. We like reading Windows Central stuff, right? So if you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Right, so a new podcast, Bloomberg, Jason Schreier shared thoughts from Xbox Game Studio leader who reportedly detests Game Pass as it impacted on perception of value. Okay, it's a little conspicuous that among all the strategy changes on Xbox thus far, new CEO Asha Sharma hasn't mentioned Xbox Game Pass all that much. Now, inspired by the Netflix, Spotify era, Xbox built Game Pass as an all-you-can-eat subscription service, servicing everything from AAA blockbusters to hidden indie gems. During this heyday, it was hailed as the best value in gaming, which technically it still is. Often, sometimes seemed too good to be true. Increasingly, it looks like it might be that case. Xbox huge cuts this past month have been also driven by large part due to decline of Game Pass revenue and also decline of Call of Duty. So I'm told last year, Black Ops 7 didn't resonate. And also a franchise previously has. There's also strong competition from Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders, ate into the traditional user base. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 still went on to sell monstrous amounts, but the operation is so vast and expensive that even small distributions can have big consequences. Indeed, the fact that Call of Duty showed up on Xbox Game Pass disrupted the business model at both ends. Fewer people purchased Call of Duty outright, and the Game Pass price hike to pay to lead to the exodus of users over time. Now, I have a problem with this, right? I have a problem with this because Xbox, there's only 20, last reported, was 28 million units out there. 28 million. Now, PlayStation has 93.5, 94 million, whatever it is now. Okay. So even if everybody, which not everybody, okay, 28 million people that owned an Xbox Series S or X purchased Call of Duty, which is not going to happen because I haven't bought a Call of Duty since 2011 or 2009, okay, is the last one I bought, right? So anybody that's on an Xbox is not, or everybody that's on an Xbox is not buying Call of Duty. Call of Duty might sell percentage-wise about the same. So let's just say they sell 2 million, 3 million, right? Well, 2 to 3 million people that were going to buy it on Xbox now, instead of buying it, played it on Game Pass. Again, you guys know where I stand. If it's a $100 million plus game, it shouldn't be on Game Pass because you're never going to make your money back, right? It devalues the actual game and it ruins it that way, right? Now, as a customer, it's the best fucking value in gaming, right? My son gets to play so many different games and it doesn't cost me a goddamn thing besides $20 for me, $23 for everybody else right now that didn't pay ahead of time. Okay. When I was a kid, going to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or any place else I could rent a game, it was like $4, $7, all depending what you rented. So you would have to rent that game. Well, now I'm paying $20 and I got 400 games. I have a whole Blockbuster to myself, right? So it's still the best value of gaming because when you walked into Blockbuster, it wasn't all brand new games. It was all tons and tons of old games plus the new releases, just like movies, right? So it's still, as a customer, a great value for them, all depending on each individual, but it's a great value. Now, as a business, which I have no stake in, it's a terrible business model, right? Because you have to get masses of amount of people to get Game Pass, and we know that they're at 30 million units, right? 30 million units. Well, isn't that funny? Because there's only 28 million actual consoles the last time they told us. So there's more people using Game Pass than there's actually consoles sold, meaning PC gamers are also using Game Pass, right? So here it says, Bloomberg, Jason Schreier discussed his sentiments, also heard about the Game Pass impact on Microsoft Gaming Studios as uncertain terms. There are a lot of people out there in the studio leadership of Xbox absolutely detest Game Pass, Schreier said on his Triple Click podcast. Think of it as destroyed the value of their game. Think of it as it taken away the value from all games in general, as also been a detriment to the games industry in those people's view, because those how they devalue games. Let me ask you something. Game Pass doesn't devalue games any more than GameStop or a rental place did, because those people didn't buy your game. They bought it secondhand, meaning you're not getting that sale. So if you just wait 1 week, 2 weeks after the game came out, someone bought it, beat it, sold it. You buy the secondhand market, and they didn't buy it. You didn't see that sale at all for them, right? So the industry didn't see that sale. It was curious that my own source felt on that topic. Speaking to a former Xbox studio lead, they were pretty upfront about echoing that Schreider's report. Giving games away for free in Game Pass from day one sends a message to consumers that the game don't have inherent market value. Okay, it almost creates an assumption that these titles could not sell on their own, one said, and it felt like a race to zero. Again, these are the same situations where if you make a game and a game is good, people will want to buy your games. They're chasing, sure, did it affect sales? 100%. But the people that weren't going to buy your game in the first place would have never bought your game in the first place. They would try it now and go, oh, you know what? Maybe. Right? Big Mo says, Expedition 33 says hello. Right. If people wanted to buy your game, they would buy your game. That's before Game Pass even came out, right? Blockbuster, Hollywood, whatever mom and pop video store had, you didn't buy the game. You rented it for $4, $5, $6, $7. Did that devalue the game? No, you played it. Now, Blockbuster bought the game, but they only have one copy there, 2 copies there. And then they rent it over and over and over, right? There's no devaluing your game. Your game either looks good or doesn't look good. We played a game last night, right? My son's like, hey, you want to try this on Game Pass? I said, sure, let me try it, right? It was, it's Worker Force or whatever the hell it's called. I forget what it's called. Let me ask my son real fast. Yeah, so we played a game called Fix Force, okay? It was on Game Pass, right? Fix Force, go look it up, okay? Horrible game. Horrible. Guess what? I didn't buy it, but I got to play it on Game Pass. And because I played it on Game Pass, I didn't feel ripped off or anyway. I went, all right, I'm going to move on, right? So did that devalue the game? No. As a customer, it gave me power because I played a shitty game and went, you know what? I'm glad I didn't pay for that. I'm glad I didn't have to go to the store and buy it. I'm glad I didn't have to buy it digitally and put it in the machine, play the game, and go, oh, you know what? This is horrible. But now I can't get my money back because there's no customer protection. So we would have played it, downloaded it, and because we downloaded it, we would have never got our money back because we played the game, right? So from a customer standpoint, okay, it's a great value for Game Pass as a customer. Again, as a business, not great for them because they're giving their game away, or they say, because even Phil Spencer has said in the past that if we pay, each one is their own concurrent like thing, right? So they have a deal. So if we saw the leaked documents, right? They paid $15 million a month to Grand Theft Auto. They paid $5 million a month for Red Dead Redemption 2. They were offered $50 million to put Suicide Squad on Game Pass back in the day, and they didn't do that deal. So when they say it devalues the game, but yet we have proof of them taking money up front, seems a little weird. Now, if they're talking internally and they're only the first-party games, yeah, I understand that. Especially if they're $100 million games. Because if you take a game like Starfield and put it on there, and you were looking for full upfront price, you're not going to get it, right? Because they own you, and they're just going to put you on Game Pass. But they already paid your salaries. They already paid your stuff, right? You're making your money anyway. So it doesn't really matter at that point because now you're owned by the developer, the publisher. Microsoft owns Bethesda. They own Obsidian. They own all these other companies. And if they decide to put that on there, you're still paying your bills. You still have a building around you. You still get your salary. You still get a check every week. Okay. That's what they provide you instead of you up front doing it, making a game, and then putting it out there and then seeing if someone buys it or not. But when you go over $100 million and put it on Game Pass, as a business, you're not going to make your money back on that because you don't have the volume. Game Pass only works if there's volume, right? So I've talked about this in the past, right? Every game that's on Game Pass, we'll take Starfield, for instance, right? It sold 2 million copies or 3 million copies on console. The rest of the people played it on, right? There's 17 million people that played it. But yet on PC and console, there was only like 4 million, 5 million people that bought it, right? Everybody else played through Game Pass and decided that they weren't going to buy it. Well, if the game was good, people would buy it, or they'd continue playing it, or they would have spent money on it. Okay? Well, they push so much money into it, it's not worth it because they would have to sell 3 copies. Every 3 people on Game Pass that were playing it would have to stay there, and it counts as one sale, right? So if Brain, Water, and myself all played it on Game Pass, we paid $20 a month, that's $60. Well, games are $70 now, right? So you need 3.5 people to play Starfield on Game Pass just to recoup 1 copy of that game if someone bought it. That's for first-party titles. Third-party titles, they're getting money up front. So they're making a chunk of the change up front to put their game on the Game Pass, and they still get to sell it everywhere else as well, right? That's better for the smaller developers. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Oh, there's still more here. Hold on. He says, I asked another former Xbox lead with the intimate knowledge of the Game Pass strategy previously who explained that the idea around the whole platform was to offer core games and stable revenue streams as many core users increasingly opt in for free-to-play titles or wait for deep cuts on sales such as those often found on Steam, which people still do anyway. Okay. They explain that Xbox is an engagement formula, which also uses to allocate profits from Xbox Game Pass back to studios. Although some studios figures I've spoken to feel that this is an accounting mechanism aren't transparent, nor are they motivating for studios. Those bonuses have traditionally been tied to direct sales rather than off vague engagement metrics. Okay. Despite Xbox Game Pass, it is a true to the top 10 most played charted are generally dominated by the same handful of free-to-play titles or service titles that monetize primarily via bite-sized microtransactions. Xbox Game Pass was designed to encourage users who are perhaps less inclined to spend $70 on a full-price title to try something outside their typical free-to-play habits. Okay, there was a time in early Xbox Game Pass life where there was also instant audience of Game Pass would grant help games achieve free-to-play like viral, actually boosting retail sales. As Xbox Game Pass habits became embedded, expectations become set. It seems positive impacts of Xbox Game Pass become increasingly difficult and quantitate. Okay. If it's true that Xbox Game Pass by itself is driving billions of revenue to Microsoft and obviously love it, or consumers obviously love it, many independent developers have remarked on funds from Xbox Game Pass it being financially a lifeline too, but it's also Xbox is not exactly transparent about how the profits are allocated to the first-party studios. And even internally, it seems from those I've spoken to on the topic. If Game Pass is subsidizing studios over retail sales, the harm of any potential decline seems to be distributed across the board, even those across studios and teams that also might be otherwise had a good year in the traditional retail model. That is speculative, and also given the opaque of the Game Pass business model is that we don't have crystal ball to reduce how well a game might perform outside of the Game Pass as well. Jason Schreier speculates that Microsoft might move away from a day one Xbox Game Pass model. Microsoft hasn't signally intend to do that, but the fact that it will no longer include the latest Call of Duty titles in the service could be a hint. Okay, I suspect what we might get instead is some sort of build your own Xbox Game Pass where users can pay premium for titles like Call of Duty, Forza Horizon, even things like World of Warcraft or Minecraft subscription on an a la carte basis. Microsoft Xbox margins are also being crushed by a variety of crises, whether the tariffs, supply chain problems, geopolitical issues, or ongoing memory crisis. Microsoft has also been interested in the Xbox hardware reach unprecedented declines, owning the fact that pivoted away from any form of exclusive content. Well, they did that themselves, right? So much so they didn't even want to make a console. Xbox Game Pass has reminded a bright spot in Microsoft's overall gaming offered with consumers. Even with the exclusive games failed to materialize, games that got canceled and price hikes a bit, Xbox fans and customers could usually point out the Xbox Game Pass reason to stick with the platform. That changed when Microsoft hiked the price up to $30. Right, which is also fucked them. Okay, if they just kept the price value, right? 15, 16 is what we said. They would have no problem. They would actually grow, but they don't want to do that, right? To offset Call of Duty potential losses without strong line-up exclusive titles, Microsoft is likely cautious to do harm to one of the most unique selling points Xbox Series X/S consoles have left. Right now, I would imagine that Microsoft is looking to every lever they can pull to boost up Xbox margins. It has angled and devastating potential of self-defeating layoffs in the short term. We've also priced hikes of hardware, suspect addressing ways to tighten up the Xbox Game Pass model might be next. So there you go. So, the whole Xbox thing I always find funny because, again, these studios that get on to Game Pass, they're approached, right? Talk about third-party games. They're approached. They're saying, hey, we would love to put your game on Game Pass. And they're like, okay. And they get to name their price. Be like, hey, we think we're going to sell 2 million copies. And then they decide to negotiate a price. Then Microsoft pays them that price. And then they go on there. As a developer, you can't cry about making a deal with a company and then saying, well, our sales didn't do very good. You got money up front to put your game on Game Pass, and then you also made sales on top of that. And then other people just played your game through Game Pass. But you already took money up front for that. Everything else is bonus after that, right? If you make a great game, people will buy your game. If you don't make a great game, people will play your game and go, I'm good. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about the model, right? Obviously, I've always said I like Sony's business model for the brand new games, right? Don't put them on the actual Game Pass or the PlayStation Plus, right? Let them out there for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, and then put them on there afterwards because the people that want to buy the game are either going to buy the game or they're going to wait for a sale. And at the sale, they buy it down the road for $20 or they can give you $20, right? That's the way it works. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. All right. You can't argue Game Pass is ruining gaming for anyone but the first-party studios who can't say no. Everyone else is asked and then accepted the check, the constant with a big yes. That's on them. That's exactly right, Argus. That's exactly right. Right? All these companies are like, oh, yeah, we don't really like it. Now, if it's internal, right, obviously Pentiment, okay, they can put that on Game Pass because it didn't cost them $100 million. Right? Tell me this. Is Power World complaining? Is Power World complaining? Is Expedition 33 complaining? Did Minecraft Dungeons complain? No. Minecraft Dungeons was a first-party title. Made plenty of money. Sold everywhere, and it was played on Game Pass. And the only way you could play the DLCs, if you didn't own the game, was to buy the actual game. Like, you had to buy the DLCs. So if you played Minecraft Dungeons and didn't buy it, but you wanted to play the DLC, you would then spend $20 on 4 DLCs, $5 a piece. And then at the end, you'd be like, oh, I own the DLCs, but I don't own the actual single player game. Well, then you would purchase it. And they give you a discount on that because you own Game Pass. Right? Every game should be a demo before release. Usually a game with a demo is pretty confident in their product. I mean, that's what Game Pass is, right? A demo is perfect. People act like Microsoft are holding a gun to every gaming industry studio head and saying that it's your ass on Game Pass. No, they're open their wallet and say, hey, everyone has a price. How much? Exactly. Blocking says, I was one of the biggest Halo fans ever. Paid $0 for Halo Infinite because the multiplayer was free and the campaign was on Game Pass. Okay? And as a customer, you won out, right? I wasn't going to buy it anyway, but I played it. Just Enough says, Xbox needs to get sued or whenever again, so we can also see how they calculate Game Pass as sales. Roadkill says, I hear you. When I had Game Pass, I used it to play all different games and just because I could try them. But they shouldn't put the big money games on there. They can put the big money games on there as long as they're under, well, I guess what you're saying is if they're big money, meaning $100 million plus, correct, right? But if they're still like 50 million, 60 million, 80 million, they can still put it on Game Pass and still make their money back on that. Argus says they took the fucking check because they thought it would be better. Then they want to complain afterwards. They got the benefit of Microsoft forced them to do it or something. Yeah, I don't understand that. Altern says, I always thought the idea of buying a small studio was to put them on Game Pass because it would be the cheaper. And then their big games paid before they're going on to Game Pass. Right. So like putting a game like Compulsion's, South of Midnight, as long as it didn't cost $100 million, they might have made their money back on that. But they didn't. Big Mo says Vampire Survivors also says hello. Yeah. No Man's Sky. Argus says Game Pass isn't killing games. Game dev companies' poor business decisions and forecasting kill their games. Overbloat budgets and overbloated staff teams. Yeah, 100%. I disagree. They should out everything. They're included COD, but I'll allow it. Argus says, if your game costs $300 million or more to make, you shouldn't put your game on Game Pass. You should do it with your own fault. Also, stop spending so much on one game. It's not necessary to prove this. It's amazing to me that, here, right? Power World is on Game Pass. Power World is on Game Pass. Yet, for some strange reason, 2 million people concurrent back in the day, 2.5 years ago, and 913, almost 1 million people have played it. 24 million people bought this game. 24 million people. But yet it's on Game Pass. What happened? Make it make sense. I thought Game Pass killed games. I thought Game Pass stopped games from making money. Oh, maybe your game just wasn't good enough. I couldn't agree more. These game studios are shooting themselves in the foot. I've always said that, Roadkill. I agreed 100% not to put their games on their PlayStation Plus right at the start. I said, put it on, then put it to PC 2 years later, right? Now, the mistake that Sony's making is not putting it on PC. They'll regret that down the line, right? They'll regret that down the line because their console market won't grow over what, they'll never get past that 150 mark, right? The reason the PlayStation 2 is 150 because we're decades later, right? This platform will stop at like 100, 110, 115, right? That's it. Now, if they're okay with that, then that's fine. Then you continue marketing to that 115 million, right? But the mistake is not putting their games after the year or 2 years on the other platforms because those people are not coming to buy your game. They're not going to go buy a system to play your games. They don't care. Arga says, people are making history, making games for $50 million and under. You don't need $300 million, $4 billion games to rack in the cash. People's attention, AA Studios crushed it. If something is good, it will sell copies, regardless if it's on Game Pass or not, right? Crowd says, Mike, did you see the Doomsday trailer? I did. I said it very first thing when in the beginning of the stream. I said if I was a normie, Crowded, I would look at it and go, oh my God, this looks amazing, right? It looks great. I want to go see it. But as a Marvel fan that have watched all the films and the television shows besides the Marvels and Miss Marvel, okay? I've seen everything. I looked at it and said, I have so many questions, and I'm not sold on it. Argus says even less possible for them to grow console numbers because if they had to raise the console price to the heights they've ever been, the amount of most people can't or won't afford to spend. That's right. El Dente says it looks like a cash grab. I'm hoping they pull it off. Yeah, no. 100% Crowded. Like I said, normies all over the world will look at that and go, that looks good, right? But the people that are fans look at it and go, I have so many questions. Why is this? Why is that happening? Why is this doing this? Why did they do that? I got a lot of questions. This gen of PlayStation will not be the best-selling record. High prices have basically been locked in for the rest of the... Yeah, so basically what's happened now, they've hurt themselves, and I'm not just saying Sony. The industry has hurt themselves because even if this system would sell 130, 140 million, that's not going to happen anymore because the prices are extremely high. Yeah, the shot of Cyclops where he's on his knees and he's shooting, I was like, that looks badass. That looks badass. Yeah, there's just a lot of questions. A lot of questions, Jesse. Again, I'm not saying it looks bad or good. I'm just, like I said, if I'm a person that just looks at it, because I can separate being a fan and also just looking at, it's a good trailer. It's a good trailer. Normies look at that trailer and go, I want to go see that, right? And ticket sales are go. Everybody else is like, I'm gonna hold off. I'll wait. Now I am gonna go see Spider-Man: Brand New Day in theaters, but that's also not a Marvel film. That's a Sony picture. Altern says, I just saw the trailer like 2 minutes ago. I didn't understand shit about the trailer, just like Michael Bay Marvel movie. Argus says, Sony will regret cutting ties with the PC platform. There will also eventually need to be a relationship with the PC fan base and platform whenever they want to admit it or not. Infinite growth requirements will. Yeah, I think they're working on something behind the scenes. If it's their own launcher or something behind the scenes on PC. I can't imagine Sony wants to leave money on the table, right? I don't care what you say when you look at here like Spider-Man remaster, right? It sold, right? Spider-Man sold like 4 million units. This is years later. You know what I'm saying? They sold 4 million units. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this number of concurrence. A single player game, right? They had almost 4 million units here, right? Right? God of War sold 5 million units. I can't imagine a company is like, they look at it and go, we sold a game for $5 million or 5 million units, but that's 5 million people that could have bought a PlayStation. It's like, those people are not buying your console. They're not gonna buy your console. Altern says, also, did anyone have felt like the trailer looked somewhat AI? Or was it just me when they're also standing, it looked AI? No, the some of the stuff, it's because it's filmed on that goddamn, the Void, whatever, the volume. Oh, I agree, Argus, but at the same time, what I'm saying is that them just pulling away from PC completely doesn't make sense. Like, if they're going to go on PC, if they do their own launcher, at least they know that the people that want to play their games don't have to go far. They can just buy it on the thing, right? They're stupid, though, for not going on Steam. Travis says, what did I miss, Mike? Admit that he wants to enshrouded crossplay at launch. I don't care. Doom kind of looks AI-ish. I don't know. It's hard to. I'll be honest. It's hard to tell, and I can tell a lot. It's hard to tell. All right, let's go down the rabbit hole here for a second, Jesse.
Oh, where I land, I do not know. But here I fall down the rabbit's hole.
All right. What if, let's do a what if moment here. What if Marvel comes out with Doom, right? Doomsday. It shatters. It's back. Marvel's back on the map. They did it, right? And then people find out that 80% of it was AI. Do you think people care? Right? We had this kind of conversation with Grand Theft Auto a couple weeks ago, right? If Grand Theft Auto was told to you that they used AI to make that game, would people care if they were having fun and whatnot? And my answer was, I don't think they would. They'd be like, oh, well, if AI can make a game like this, then great. If AI can make a movie and you're blown away by it, would you care? If it looks good, I don't care if it's human or Ultron made it. That's exactly right. There's a balance, right? There's a balance of this looks like shit because it's AI, but it's like, oh, it looks really good, and do I care? No, I don't think people will. If it comes out after the fact that they saved on budget, broke $1 billion, they did 50% of the movie was 100% AI, and the other part was CGI, I don't think anyone would give two shits. Travis says, George Lucas said it best, fighting AI because you don't like it. This is an equivalent of saying I don't want cars because I prefer horses. Yes. Jesse Max says, I bet people kind of care about it. Half of people don't care. Here's the thing. What I'm saying, Jesse, is if you watch the film and you don't like AI, you're against it 100%. You're like, fuck AI. You watch the film and you go, holy shit, that was a great film. Right? Amazing film. Right? You come out of the theater, you love it. You're like, oh my God, that was the best Marvel film they've ever created. And then it comes out. Marvel Doomsday broke $2 billion. And win for Disney, because Disney figured out that 50% of the production was AI. Would you all of a sudden be like, oh, that movie's shit? You wouldn't. The people that hate AI, don't care about AI, that come out and say this is an amazing film, right? If the actors are real, it would just be AI. What I'm saying, Dolphin. We're doing a what if, right? They tell you that they're real, but they're really not. They're just AI and CGI. Okay? The CGI of the actors being, but then it's AI just doing the rest of the stuff, right? People wouldn't care. Argus says this is almost nothing in business across every type that's sought after more. The AI is replacing the need for human workers. That is the battle we lost the moment we became impossible to do so. Yeah. There's stuff right now that on YouTube, you can watch 100% fully AI person in front of you and you don't know it. There's people that are making channels right now that are succeeding on YouTube with AI created avatar. Okay? There's a person behind it, but they're lying to you because of the AI that they're putting in front of you. Okay? And people are like, I don't like AI, but yet they watch AI content. Do you know what I'm saying? Every little bit conditions you because you can't tell the difference anymore between the thing. All I'm saying is, if Marvel's comes out, regardless if the story is good or bad, and people love it, and and you find out later that it's made by AI, you'd be like, "Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know they could do that." That's my point, Dolphin. If it was good, you're saying good enough, right? You wouldn't care, right? You're saying if it good enough. I'm just saying if it's good. Right? As long as it goes over the precipice of the thing, people wouldn't care. Eclipse says, isn't like the biggest sitcom in China right now AI or something? That's the first I've heard of it. I wouldn't put it past him. You know what? You guys know what I found out for the first time? So on vacation, we were staying at like a beach house with my best friend's family and ours. So we were relaxing on the beach for the last couple days or whatnot. And in the evening, we would watch a show that you guys probably watched and I haven't seen, didn't even know it existed. And I'm being dead serious about this. I'm going to say the name, and you're going to be like, "The fuck?" Yeah, I didn't know this show existed. Never watched one episode in my entire life. Okay, and then I found out it was out for 10 years. Okay. So I watch The Goldbergs. Okay. You guys ever see The Goldbergs? It just happened to be on the TV when we were there, right? And I started watching and laughing my ass off because it takes place in the 80s and that's my childhood, so that's why I kind of like it. Didn't know it existed. I was like, "Oh, what is this show?" My friend's like, "You've never seen The Goldbergs?" I was like, "No, I've never seen it." Right? And he's like, "You've never seen The Goldbergs?" I said, "No, I've never seen it." He's like, It's been out for 10 seasons. It ended in 2023, right? And I started laughing, right? I started laughing because it came out in 2013, and in 2013, my wife was pregnant, right? And in 2014, my son was born. So I didn't get to watch a lot of TV and stuff then. So I missed a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows. And obviously, we canceled our cable and stuff like that, so I've never seen it. And it was just funny. I was like, what a good. So it's on Hulu, but the show we were watching I was on the Roku channel. It's just a 100% Goldbergs channel. Like it was just played every season 24/7 of the Goldbergs. And I was like, this is great. So now I started watching it. We watched like the first 15 episodes. What a great show. So, not sponsored, but if you guys want to go watch a good show, it's a good sitcom. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It sucks it got canceled. Well, 10 years. It's a good run. It's a good run. They didn't get to finish it. It was 10 years. I already watched Clarkson's Farm. Great show. And he announced the season 6 now. They didn't get to finish it? Oh, man. Such a good time. Like, literally every time he does something, I was like, hey, I have that. I had that. That's what happened to me. That's how my dad talked to me. El Dante says it's like me watching Modern Family. Oh, great show. I watched that. We did watch that the entire time. That was the one sitcom I watched all the time. Love Modern Family. Great show. Charles says, season 6. Okay, I'll watch it again. Yeah. It's great. Clarkson's Farm is fantastic. Dude, there was so much news that happened just over this weekend. I'm looking at Twitter right now to see if anything. Are they still doing a Blade? Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige has said he feels like a gigantic loser and failure over the Doom Blade reboot that was meant to star. What are they doing with that? How do you not make a Blade film? Fucking idiots, dude. I swear to God. Travis says, yo, Mike, did you see the news about the balls on the studio making Zero Company? I have not. What do they do? What do they say? Game Pass is removing a lot more games very soon. GameSpot. Just in. Breaking news. Microsoft is dumping a bunch more games. This happens all the time. This might be a bait and switch title. Let's read it, shall we? The next set of Xbox games removables have been identified as appears to be a bunch more games leaving the service at the end of the month. Well, this happens every fucking month. Back to Dawn, Crusade King, Mountain Blade, My Friendly Neighbor, Rainwell. Yeah, whatever. That's what happens at Game Pass. Minecraft just made a Discord server for the first time ever. Let's see what you said. Quote, we were told EA, no microtransactions in our tactic games and that aren't cosmetic because it will ruin the game. Sure. You stood up to EA. Is that what they said? No microtransactions in that game? Like, that game is a standalone single-player game that when you buy it, everything in the game is the game. It's exactly right, Argus. Right? A lot of games on Game Pass aren't permanent. This isn't news. Yeah. I was like, this happens every month. I don't understand. That's what they're saying. Microtransactions are cosmetic at most. I'll wait and see. Polygon has a video or article saying a major 2026 box office bomb is actually great, and you can stream it in 2 days. Oh, nice. Master of the Universe had a box office run of $113 million, according to the Box Office Mojo, and had nearly a $200 million budget. Commercially, it performed poorly despite fairly strong critical reviews, 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, 86% on an audience score. I actually liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie. Me and my son watched it, and when we got out of it, we're like, man, I hope they make another one. And then we found out that Master of the Universe wasn't supposed to be in theaters at all. So it was supposed to be just a streaming thing. That was it. It was supposed to be on Amazon, and that was streaming. But then they decided to put it in theaters, and this is why they what's it called? So they made $113 million of the $200 million. Now, obviously, they made some money back, but they still lost money. But we'll see what happens on Amazon. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was entertaining. You know what I forgot? This will be the last thing I talk about. So there was a play test for War Dogs this weekend, wasn't there? And I forgot about it because I was playing Pal World. Yeah. I've been playing Pal World, which we will be playing tonight over on 30 and Still Gaming. I'm level 45, 46, something like that. I've been playing Pal World this weekend a lot. Because of the way it ends, that's what I want as the new He-Man. I think they're supposed to be making two sequels to it. Argus said I played Pal World all damn weekend. What a fun fucking game. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been playing. Jesse Max says, 30, did you hear about Zack Snyder? He will direct Dark Knight Returns of Frank Miller's movie. Only a rumor. Interesting. Travis says, I'm addicted to Pal World. Oh my God. Am I a survival player now? Make zombies, make zombie noises. Yeah, I was going to ask you about it. Damn, I didn't get an invite. It sucks. Well, I got an invite and then I didn't play it. I didn't play it. I literally Clips just thought about it because I was scrolling through and I saw a post by them and I went, oh shit. I forgot about it. Completely forgot about. I'm loving Pal World. I have a total. I think this time around, I think I have about 50 hours in. Got invited and continued playing Pal World. That's exactly right. Well, what happened was, Altern, last week, it was like Tuesday. I signed up, did the thing, got in, right? And then I forgot. I went on vacation. When I came back, I was like, I'm going to play some Pal World. And I played Pal World. And I played Pal World. And I continued playing Pal World. And here we are. And I totally forgot until this very moment. I went, oh, shit. That's why I was like, is it this weekend or the next weekend? Oh, and know what else I watched? I'm really excited about this. I watched Jeff Kaplan play more of the Legends of California. I'm excited about that game. I don't know why. I played it for like 20 hours when it was the early access. I can't wait to go back in. But I watched 5 hours more of that gameplay stuff and knowing what was going on in that game. I'm excited about that game, which is weird because it resets every month. And you guys know I hate resetting. So I might play the shit out of that game for like 1 month and then not go back. But the way it resets, you still get to keep stuff. So I want to say I'm 3 towers in as far as the main story. I'm 3 towers in. So what? It's like halfway. There's 7 or 8 towers in Pal World. But man, I'm collecting stuff, leveling up stuff. I'm building a base. Absolutely love it. Altered says, I feel a quote. This is me. I feel like I forgot something, but it doesn't matter. I'm playing Pal World. Yeah. Hal says the He-Man actor should have tried to bulk up more for the sequels. I think he only had about 4 months. Yeah, he did bulk up. Here's one thing I will admit, Crowded. If he's just as big as he is in the sequel, but then they use some CGI to make him bigger, I'd be okay with that. Right? It would be awesome, though, if he bulked up more and became... Yeah, but how do you become that stacked? You know what I mean? Like, it would almost be like it better if it became... like the cartoon where he was like skinny and then became, but it'd be cool. I hope he does bulk up more. That's my only discrepancy in that movie is he needs to be bigger. Clip says, "Oh, you're not even close. You're like maybe 1/4." Oh, well, fantastic. Fantastic. Argus says, I got a bunch of hours in Power World and only done the first tower. It's around level 40. Yeah, I've killed 3 bosses, maybe 4. All right, well, tonight, if you guys want to watch me play some Power World and bullshit while I play, we'll be playing over on 30 and Still Gaming starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. This week, we also have a normal week. We're back to normal. There's no vacations or anything happening. So daily grind every day this week, Monday through Thursday. We have Shooting the Shit with Sarge. We're playing RV There Yet on Wednesday. And then Thursday night, we have episode 497 of Generation X Gaming. And then we're on path to hit the 500th episode on August 13th. If you guys want to support the channel, we have apparel. You can go check out the store. We have new shirts and stuff. Let me see if I can bring that up for you. Let me bring up. Let me bring this up for you before we. What are we talking about? All right, fine. No, that's not it. Yeah, 500. It's crazy to think that we're that close, Al Dente. So we have a store link here, and you can pick up some shirts and whatnot. I don't know why the featured one doesn't show the shirt, the GXG one. Yeah, it's not there, but we do have a shirt on there. Let me see if I click on. Yeah, here it is. We got the 500th episode. So if you guys want to support the channel, you can go pick that up. Other than that, I do appreciate you guys coming out, hanging out with us each and every single day, week, night. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the Daily Grind. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Another showcase, another lie, another trail of money can't buy. Marketing teams with panic in their eyes, watching one day swallow up the sky. Publishers hiding, moving release plans, years of development buried in the sand. We'll launch next month, they quietly say, cause nobody wants to die that day. Coffee stain meetings, executives pray, looking at projections, watching profits fade away. It's the G